chain mama's fear into love.
We are proud to adopt the Indies from a shelter.
Love is no breed.
जब आप एक इंडी को अडॉप्ट करते हो उसे नई लाइफ मिलती है बी इंडी प्राउड अडॉप्ट नाउ
ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है ओके then हाँ हाँ थैंक यू
Thank you, Nitin, for that very comprehensive introduction to Mars Pet Care and Living Our Purpose. In your delegate kits, we also have a newsletter which really has a lot more information about how Mars Pet Care is really living its purpose. There are a lot of stories, and I'm sure all of you would be really interested to read it. I would also again reiterate what Nitin said. This Indie Proud campaign was something which was really welcomed. We tied up with about 45 NGOs and we continue to do India adoptions. So we know that people in India are keen, but if we can create the right ecosystem for people to come and adopt, build those facilities and all that, I am sure that we will be able to get there. So thank you, Nitin. I would now like to invite our guest of honor, Dr. Chini Krishna, founder Blue Cross of India, to speak to this August gathering. Dr. Krishna. Dr. Krishna, you have to unmute.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you very much. Since the seminar is being held at Kolkata, I'd like to just mention a fact that most of you may not be aware of. In 1966, following the proposed animal birth control program of the Blue Cross of India, Rukmini Devi Arundale, who was the chairman of the Animal Welfare Board of India, had visited Calcutta and Bombay and signed memorandums of understanding with both the municipalities there to do an animal birth control program in the two cities. Unfortunately, the MOU, because Rukmini Devi felt that the surgeons were not geared up to do the operations of the females, the ovarian hysterectomy, she insisted that the ABC program be restricted to the male dogs only. And that was one of the reasons why the program was not successful, and both Bombay and Calcutta discontinued the program after 2 years. But in any case, the animal birth control program has been adopted by all the major organizations in the world, the WHO, the OIE, and the FAO. And the biggest compliment that they pay the Blue Cross is that they do not call it the TNR or the CNR program at all. They call all of them now refer to it as the ABC or the Animal Birth Control Program. We called it the ABC program to convince the municipalities that the control of the street dog population was as simple as ABC. And it is true, with very little effort, if a sustained aggressive animal birth control program can be carried out, there is absolutely no doubt that the number of dogs on the street can be brought down dramatically. It has been proved physically in Jaipur, Kalimpong, and in Chennai till about 2012, at which point the city municipal boundaries were increased by a very, very large factor and brought in new areas which were not controlled by the ABC program. However, between 1996, when we started the ABC program on a large, and 2000, confirmed human deaths in 1996 was brought down to zero. In 2010, the Corporation of Chennai declared Chennai to be rabies-free because there had been no human deaths from rabies for 3 successive years. Unfortunately, after that, there have been a couple of deaths, but the number of deaths in Madras has been very, very low. The fact remains that even one death due to rabies is one death too many, because rabies is a totally preventable disease. Mr. Jain had mentioned about ending pet homelessness. I'll make it very clear. As far as my personal stand is concerned, a street is really no place for a dog. Every dog deserves a loving family and a loving home. But as long as they are there on the street, it is our duty to make sure that they are treated in the most humane way possible, and the reduction of animals on the street is done in the most humane way possible, which is very, very doable as far as the ABC program is concerned. The Chennai Corporation, Chennai is one of the 100 smart cities. I mean, it may not be very obvious to many people who look at Chennai, but Chennai is one of the smart cities. The managing director of the Smart City program, Mr. Raj Charubal, has recently unveiled a program called CCAP, which is Chennai Care for Animals Project. And I'm sure that with the help of Mr. Charubal and the spreading of the CCAP to other smart cities, we would see a dramatic change in the attitude of human beings towards the dogs on the street. I have only 5 minutes allotted to me, and I would like to stop at this point. At the discussion stage, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Krishna. We totally agree with you that a street is no place for dogs or cats. And I hope that this endeavor that we are trying to do and all of us together can change whatever we can possibly change. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you for being with us. I would now like to invite our guest of honor, Dr. Chanchal Guha, Vice Chancellor, WBUAFS, to say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning to the delegates sitting on the dais and this of the dais. Now, this is a golden opportunity for me, as because being the this institution as the university of this West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Sciences, I'm really very, very thankful to this organization, particularly this Mars Petcare, as because we are the personals taking the pivot role in relation to this care management and the control of these pets. And there are different programs that are being organized by the different NGOs, different official organizations, different government organizations. But this type of this attitude or this type of this venture and this program is very, very useful and helpful for the society. But at the same time, this will not only improve this development, at the same time, it will help to develop the awareness of the people who are having the pets. But if we consider about this total population they are reared in the universe or this world, most of them are rather being neglected, and they are mostly the stray pets, and they are neither getting this proper nutrition nor this management good this sorts of these residents, and they are not getting the good habitat. So if this type of this attempt, or if this type of program is being organized very regularly and the different ends, not only the cities but also in the rural areas, so that people can aware how this can be developed. So that's why. So we are academically, we are discussing different aspects: nutrition, healthcare, management, and other things. But the actual thing, what is the main important role behind this stray pets is not being cared. I tell you, the different programs being organized by these different organizations like this Association of Prevention and Control of this Rabies, different ABC program. So these programs are officially there, but I am really associated with these programs, and this university is also going for this regular ABC program in different occasions in the year. But this is not at the optimum level, which can nicely control this birth of this pet, because this pet population is increasing in such a way that if we cannot control the pets, then we cannot control the disease. The disease, what is causing 100% case fatality or the 100% mortality, that is the rabies. So these programs are being organized in a very planned way so that not only we can control the disease, but at the same time, we can control the population, which is very, very important in relation to the development of this pet population. At the same time, the attitude of the people who can rear very nicely of these pets. Now, the different aspects, if we go for these academic purposes, like this end pet homeless index or the different parameters, but which is literally possible, literally being assessed, but it is very, very difficult to implement in the field level. That's why it needs the knowledge, attitude, and the practice. But this is really, as a veterinarian, I feel this we people are very much lacking. So these three components, that is this knowledge, attitude, and the practice is very, very important in relation to care the pets properly so that we can make the world very healthy, very this wealthy. At the same time, it's a good habitat for the pets. This is all, and there are a lot of things are to be discussed, but this is not the platform to discuss all these things. But only thing is that we can only improve the awareness of the people, those who are having the pets, those who are taking care of the pets in the stray animal, or particularly in the stray pets, and at the same time they have to develop the attitude. Then only we can make the world very healthy in relation to the rearing of the pets. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. That was really well said. Definitely knowledge, attitude, and practices are very important. And I think that's where knowledge sharing and change of behavior and attitude is very critical for all stakeholders and society in general. So I think that's very important. Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to invite our guest of honor, Dr. Nitasha Dogar, FAD5 Member Secretary and Scientist DBIS, to join us online. Ms. Dogar, over to you.
Thank you, Bharani. I hope that I am audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you. A very good morning to all of you. It gives me great pleasure to be associated with this seminar to create a better world for companion animals, which brings together a wide range of stakeholders, participants on a common platform, the government, NGOs, academic institutes, and corporates, to share their knowledge and views for a common cause. We all love the warmth and attention our companion animals give us. It's an absolute blessing to have a pet. Having a pet comes with the responsibility of pet care. Pet health and well-being is a subset of animal welfare, which is a very complex and multifaceted subject. Animal welfare encompasses all the elements of nutrition, health, environment, behavior, and mental state. It is a subject with growing interest from the civil society, and it is one of the priorities of World Organization for Animal Health also. Animal welfare is also important because there are so many animals around the world suffering from being used for entertainment, food, medicine, fashion, scientific development, advancements, and it's exotic pets also. So in this context, BIS, the National Standards Body of India, is playing its part by formulating Indian standards on animal feeds, animal husbandry, and equipment through its technical committees. BI's technical committee structure brings together all relevant stakeholders, industry, consumers, regulators, R&D institutes, and then develop standards keeping in view national interest and taking into account view of all the stakeholders through a process of consultation. Animal Feeds and Nutritional Sectional Committee FAD5 is a very important technical committee of BIS, which is involved in the formulation of Indian standard in the field of animal feeds and nutrition. Under this committee, there are various Indian standards which have been formulated on animal feeding stuffs, mineral mixtures, compounded feeds, and feed supplements. Another important committee which is relevant to today's topic is Animal Husbandry and Equipment Sectional Committee, which is FAD 32. which is responsible for formulation of Indian standard for management practices, welfare, transport of livestock, poultry, pet, and laboratory animals. Indian standard IS 11968, many of you might be aware of this Indian standard. This is a very important Indian standard formulated by BIS, which is for pet food for dogs and cats. Your pet may love to eat food fresh from your plate, but just because they like it doesn't mean it is good for them. Keeping the specific nutritional needs of pet into consideration, BIS has formulated this Indian standard. This standard not only specifies distinct nutritional requirements for cats and dogs, but also for kittens and puppies. If you're feeding your pet with the food as per this Indian standard IS 11968, there is no need to give complementary feed supplements like additives, vitamins, minerals, as your pet food is complete diet in itself. So it is very important to get this Indian standard implemented, and the industry should use this Indian standard. Implementation of this Indian standard by the pet food industry will not only ensure adequate balanced diets free of toxins and contaminants to the pet, but will also enhance market competitiveness to achieve quality and reduce cost of manufacturing by eliminating rejections. Dogs and cats are not only reared as domestic pets, but considered useful animals for many other purposes, also, such as guide dogs for police and military services also. They are also subjected to scientific and biological tests as laboratory animals. So in view of reliance of these animals and their diverse roles, they are frequently transported. To safeguard the health and welfare of dogs and cats during their transportation, BIS has formulated another important standard, that is IS 4746, which prescribes essential requirements for the transport of dogs and cats by rail, road, and air. So this standard covers various requirements, which also includes requirements for the size of the container for transporting dog and cats, and also the labeling of the container. Standards for animal health and well-being are absolutely essential. They are vital to the industry and are crucial to animal health and safety. Standards are formulated taking into account contribution of science, technology, and experience, and are aimed at promotion of optimum community benefits. While standards supports in ensuring quality and safety of all types of products and services, I would like to highlight that it is the industry which is working as a veritable backbone in the standard development process. It is their participation, their feedback, their competitiveness to perform, and their desire to apply standards that is taking us to the desired destination where we can pass every benchmark of quality. They continued and enhanced involvement in standardization at national as well as international level is very important to ensure harmonious standardization activities in the country. We all know that the influence of standards that they have on global trade also. It is well known to the industry, particularly those who are involved in export of their products. For example, in India to have influence, if you want the India to have that influence in the global trade, it is very important that we adopt the best practices, the best global practices, so that to have a penchant of perfection and quality. I think that standards and their compliances are the only means of achieving this. So with these words, I again compliment Mars Petcare India for organizing this event and thank them for providing me this opportunity to just this August gathering. I wish this event all the very success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dogar. That was really well said. I think it's really, like you said, human food is not suitable for pets, and therefore standards are crucial to the health of pets. And ma'am, we assure you that the industry is very, very keen. And I think this entire stakeholder group here present is also very keen to work with and partner with BIS to ensure that we have the best standards available. And then eventually everybody starts following those standards. In fact, with the kind of growth that we see in the industry, pet food standards becomes really critical and important. So thank you so much for your time, and please request you to stay on as you're part of our panel as well. So thank you. I would now request our guest of honor, Dr. Tapapriya Majumdar, Executive Health Officer, Kolkata Municipal Corporation, to share his views on the subject. Sir.
Hello, everybody. I've come from Kolkata Municipal Corporation Health Department. Actually, I was not supposed to come. The original invitation was to our municipal commissioner. He couldn't make time for this. He requested our CMHO, Chief Municipal Health Officer, and he requested me to come. First, I should say that we have a veterinary officers, lots of veterinary officers in our department, health department, and the activities they are performing, this much I can say on their behalf. Basically, I'm not a veterinary expert, so in this line, I'm not very much well knowledged. I'm basically a ENT specialist, but my job is public health here. First, I should say that the exact department we name dealing with dogs is public safety. Public safety, that is the department. And what is there and what is the activities of this department? First, if there is a complaint from any locality that there is a disturbing dog in the locality biting people, what we do is that our team, dog squad, goes and picks up the dog, brings the dog to a dog pound, sterilizes it, especially I think of male dogs, and then relocates them in the same locality from where the dog has been picked up. For this, we have to face the wrath of the locality people because they want the dogs to be completely removed from there. But that is not our process. We have to relocate the dog in the same, provided the dog is not rabid. If the dog is rabid, then what we do? We run 2 dog pounds in Kolkata. The bigger one is in Dhapa, which can accommodate 273 dogs, mind it, 273 dogs. As a sprawling compound is there. And another small one we have at Entally in Kolkata, and that is only for 33 dogs. Out of the 273 kennels they have there, 10 are isolated for these infectious, means rabid dogs. And what are the activities we do there? Number one is that ABC, somebody discussed just now, animal birth control. That is one of the activities. Then we have the trauma care. If street dogs meets an accident, we pick up the dogs, we treat it there, and once it is cured and can move around all by itself, we again relocate the dog in the same locality from where we have picked up. And infectious disease, I have said that there's an isolation ward that can house 10 dogs. And if you know the fate of the rabid dogs, so we take care and isolate them till their fate. And then we have the anti-rabies vaccination. Just now, in the whole city of Calcutta, we have 144 wards. In each ward, twice a week, we are having a program of sterilization of male dogs and anti-rabies vaccination. It will be going on for the coming 3 months and till we cover the whole city of Kolkata. This is what we are doing. For this, we have done a lot of IEC, lot of publicity, and our dog squad has collected nearly all the dogs from each locality from where the program will be held, and there we have carried out our camps like this with of course, with the help of the local councillor or chairman, whoever is there. This is how we are going on. Well, one thing to end my lecture, one thing I would like to say, I have learned a new word from this, which I have going to take home, and that is indies. And sorry, I never heard the name before. And who has given this nomenclature? I'm not sure about it. Dr. Chan can say who has given this nomenclature. Yourself, or marketing team. Fine, because we used to call these stray dogs or street dogs very bad names, Lady Kutta and all these things, very insulting and very cruel, I think. I'm a dog lover. I had dogs, but unfortunately, I'm very ashamed to say none of them were stray dogs or indies. Both were high pedigree GSDs. So I'm sorry. Next time when I keep a dog, I'll keep Dr. Chan's advice in mind. Fine. This is all, and this is how we are carrying out in the activities in the Kolkata Municipal Corporation. And people depend on us. We are helping the society. We are doing public safety, and that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Majumdar. I think the municipal corporations are all doing a great work in terms of really looking after public health. And I think one of the topics that we will be discussing subsequently in the health and welfare, Better Cities for Pets, is going to be about One Health, where animal, ecological, as well as human health is interconnected. And I think that's where all these efforts come into place. So thank you so much, Dr. Majumdar, for being with us today. I would now like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Kingshuk Pramanik, who's the chairman of the State Animal Welfare Board, Kolkata, to share his views with all of us.
Good morning, all. Dr. Majumdar, Dr. Guho, Mr. Join, ladies and gentlemen. Human beings are the supreme creation of the Almighty. Any person is called human for its human. In this era of existential crisis, every living being is in utter dilemma of existence. They try to survive maintaining their balance, but the state dogs and pets are very vulnerable because they have no judiciary to have justice. So their justice is always denied in this hegemony of the brutal and cruelty. Cruelty over animal is being rampant. The news seldom makes headlines in the newspaper, social media, television channel. I'm not blaming the non-implementation of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Rather, we are feeling a deficiency of human outlooks towards this vulnerable creature. Our today discussion is on this matter of serious concern. Our motto is not to do the pen paper work. Rather, we have to swing into action. In this matter, concerned societies' participation is necessary. Our government, West Bengal government, under the dynamic leadership of Ms. Mamata Banerjee, is very sympathetic and concerned about the matter. We as the part of the government is also trying to keep an eye over any misdoing with the state pets. The NGOs and various stakeholders are working with as a team in our state. I especially thanks to Mars Petcare for inviting me as a chief guest. I propose to take a place from this stage to fight for well-being of the pets collectively with utmost seriousness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pramanik. I think what you said was absolutely perfect, that we have to swing into action. Social participation is important, and really animals have no judiciary to give them justice. So really well said. Thank you very much for being here with us. I would now like to invite my colleague, Mr. Mantesh Shirani, our regional sales manager handling the East region, to convey the vote of thanks. Mantesh has been working for Mars since 2013 in the sales function, handling different sales roles. He has overall sales experience of more than 20 years in FMCG sector. Mantesh is also a passionate pet lover and a pet parent of a golden retriever called Fluffy. Mantesh, over to you.
Thank you, Sudha. First of all, a graceful and warm thanks for all the chief guests and guest of honor, as well as the panelists and the members for attending this. And on behalf of Mars Petcare and entire fraternity, I would thank all the members here, especially the chief guest, Dr. Kingshung Pramanik, and the guest of honors, Dr. Tapapriya Majumdar, Dr. Chanchal Guha, and Dr. S. Chini Krishna, along with Miss Natasha Dogra and Miss Cecilia Villaverde for taking their time out and giving us opportunity to give their opinion as well as views in terms of how can we take it forward and make this occasion a graceful one. I also thank our internal team, corporate affairs team, for led by Vasudha, Abhijit, and Bernie, for putting their efforts in anchoring this thought leadership seminar and taking it to Kolkata. And I once again thank all the members and panelists, and a big thanks from Mars Petcare.
Thank you, Mantesh. Now we would have our guest of honor, Dr. Cecilia Villaverde. She's the co-chair of Wasawa Global Pet Nutrition Committee, and she's going to be doing a keynote for us on pet nutrition. I would really like to thank you, Dr. Villaverde, for making time for us in a holiday, in between your holiday and really, really early morning in Ireland. So thank you for being with us. Just to introduce Dr. Villaverde, BVSC PhD Diplomate Nutrition of the ACVIM Board Certified Veterinary Nutrition, Diplomate ECVCN EBVS European Specialist in Veterinary and Comparative Nutrition. Dr. Villaverde obtained her veterinary degree in 2000 and her PhD in Animal Nutrition in 2005 by the Universitat Autónoma de Barcelona, Spain. She worked as a postdoctoral researcher in feline nutrition at University of California, Davis, where she also completed a residency in small animal clinic nutrition at the Veterinary Medical Teaching Hospital. She is board certified in veterinary nutrition by the American College of Veterinary Internal Medicine Nutrition and by the European College of Veterinary and Comparative Nutrition since 2010. She's currently the past president of ECVCN, and after working as a chief of service in the Veterinary Teaching Hospital Nutrition Service in Barcelona for 6 years, she is now a consultant in clinical nutrition for Expert Pet Nutrition and Veterinary Information Network. She's also the co-chair of the Wasawa Global Nutrition Committee and has written several articles and book chapters on the topic of companion animal nutrition. I think it's a topic that we really need to talk about right now. So over to you, Dr. Villaverde. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I hope you all can see me, and I did prepare some slides. Let me know if you cannot see them.
We can see the slides.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to thank Mars for the invitation to speak with you today. And I got assigned the topic of the importance of veterinary nutrition education and global standards. It is a big topic, so I tried to basically boil it down to the most important points so as not to take so much of your time. But I think what I want to transmit here is the very important relationship between nutrition and health in the pet population. Dogs and cats mostly is what I work with. And this relationship, I see it in two ways, right? One of them is what we call your nutritional pathology, meaning, and some of the other guests have already talked a little bit about this, how having an inadequate diet can cause disease. And this can be due to nutritional factors like a nutrient deficiency or nutrient toxicity, but also to issues of safety like microbiological contamination or mycotoxin or other contaminants that could be in the food. So diet or nutrition can be cause of disease. On the other hand, diet can help manage diseases. And these are what we call these nutrient sensitive diseases that, for example, kidney disease, that the diet is not the problem, but the solution, right? And we can use it to diagnose and to manage diseases. So for both healthy pets on a preventative medicine kind of way, and also for pets with disease in a clinical kind of way, it is very important that we always consider nutrition as a potential cause of the problem, but also as a potential solution. So I have some examples of nutritional pathology, and probably the most common that we see are deficiencies. And I would say it depends a lot on where you see it. One of the diseases that we can see with an inadequate diet are skeletal diseases like rickets or nutritional secondary hyperparathyroidism. Those are vitamin D and or calcium deficiencies. This is very typical of pets that are only fed meat, right? Because meat is very rich in phosphorus, but is very poor in calcium, and depending on the meat, also very poor in vitamin D. So we can see basically a lack of strength in the bones, and that can lead to fractures and, you know, a lot of problems. This is a disease in Europe that is very rarely seen anymore because it was mostly associated to unbalanced homemade diets that we were just giving our pets our leftovers. This is much less common now with commercial pet food. Other diseases that you can see with deficiencies are skin diseases, for example, associated to deficiency of essential fatty acids or minerals like zinc or vitamins like vitamin A. Again, at least in Europe, this is not something that you see that often, but you can see this in animals that are being fed a diet that doesn't have all the nutrients that they need. And in several areas of the world is definitely still common. One of the common deficiencies that we could see in cats is a taurine deficiency. Taurine is an amino acid, and in cats it can cause heart disease, but also eye disease. It can cause blindness. And again, this was a disease that we started to see, and then it was associated to taurine, and then a taurine requirement was defined in the standard. So this is now in America and in Europe, it's very uncommon to see if they're being fed a good commercial diet. Potentially possible if they're feeding a homemade diet, or especially if cats are fed mostly plant or vegetarian-based diets. So this is just an example of some of the deficiencies that we can see. These are not the only ones, but just to show you the importance of a complete diet or providing all the nutrients to make sure that the pet, the dog or the cat maintains their health. We can have also nutritional pathology related to excess. For example, vitamin D toxicity, which has happened in some commercial products due to mistakes in the formulation, can cause kidney problems. Energy excess, for sure, it's a problem that can result in overweight or obesity, especially if the energy that the pets get is higher than the ones that they expend. And then we also have, for example, joint problems in large breed puppies that can be associated to excess. It can be excess energy, some of these breeds, like the one in this picture, but also Great Danes or German Shepherd dogs, if they grow too fast during their puppyhood, they can have an imbalance between the growth of the muscle and the growth of the skeleton, and that can cause problems like hip dysplasia or others. A diet that's also very high in calcium can also alter the bone formation of these animals, and they can also have bone malformations. So this would be examples on the importance of, yes, you need to provide all the nutrients that they need in a minimum value, but you never have to go over their excess. And for that, again, it's very important that we have well-defined standards of where the nutrients should be. So really, very simply stated, when we want to prevent these problems of deficiencies or excesses, we want to focus on what we call the complete and balanced diet. And what does that mean? Right? What does complete mean? Complete means it has all the nutrients that they need. Like, I'm not going to go into detail here, but basically animals need macronutrients and micronutrients, including protein, fat, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals. And when we add all of these up, they require about 40 essential nutrients in their diet. So all of those nutrients need to be there for the diet to be complete, but they have to be in the right amount. If we give too little, we may get deficiency. If we give too much, you may get toxicity. So you have a range of adequate concentration for the nutrient, and this is for each one of them, right? And at least 40. So you can see why there's so many diets in the market. There's multiple ways to make a diet complete and balanced, as long as all those nutrients are there in the right zone. So who defines what complete and balanced means? We do have a lot of scientific information, and a lot of countries or regions will incorporate that into nutritional standards. I can speak of Europe, which is where I work mostly, but the nutritional standards that we have are defined by FEDF, which is the European pet food industry, and those have been endorsed by the EU government. And it's very helpful because it has this is an example. You probably cannot see it that well, but you can download their standards from the FEDF website, and it tells you, you have the nutrient, and then you have the amounts, depending if you're a dog or a cat, a puppy or an adult, or a kitten or an adult, or a reproducing female. And then it will give you your minimum and it will give you your maximums. So this is very helpful for manufacturers of pet food to ensure that their product meets the requirements. Also very helpful for me as a clinician to know that I can trust that the diet is meeting what I need it to meet for the dog or the cat to be healthy. For example, in the United States, their standards are set by AFCO. And as I was hearing from you guys, India is also developing their own nutritional standards, which is great news. Just to finish up a little bit on the second aspect, remember we were talking about diet as a cause of disease, and to solve that, we want the diet to be complete and balanced. And for that, nutritional standards are very helpful. On the other way, we have these diseases that can respond to dietary management. These are just some examples of those diseases or metabolic disturbances that we can sort of help. For example, diabetes mellitus. And in order to manage these patients, we use what we call the veterinary diet. We can use them for diagnostics, for example, of food allergy, or for the treatment, both for the short term, for example, in animals that are in the hospital, or for the long term, like kidney disease, etc. So they're very useful tools for veterinarians, together with medication, surgery, and other treatments to make the best for our patients. In the European Union, veterinary diets are regulated through what we call the PARNOT legislation. And PARNOT is this pet food with a particular nutritional purpose. So basically, it defines what that diet should look like. So if this is a diet for a hospitalized animal, it has to have a lot of calories, high in protein, all of those things. So those are some nutritional standards based on science, and the diet that is marketed for that disease has to meet those requirements. Again, this is very helpful for veterinarians that are taking care of sick animals, because this is a basic guarantee that these diets will follow the scientific evidence for what we want to do with them. diets that fall under the partner registration have to be used under veterinary guidance. So as veterinarians and everyone in our veterinary team needs to be familiar with them in order to use them properly and help our pets. This is an example of what the partner looks like. For example, in this case, it would be for renal disease or kidney disease. Then it defines what it needs to happen. The phosphorus has to be this level, the protein has to be this level. And then it tells you what it should say on the label and how long can you use this, etc. So for this, we have that for a variety of diseases. And if there is no partnut, then the diet cannot make such a claim. So everybody has to apply for a new partnut, and this protects the public for, non-scientific claims. So veterinary professionals are key for both aspects, both to prevent nutritional pathology in healthy animals, but also to treat patients that actually have disease. And veterinarians are very important for this because we are the ones deciding what we are going to feed this pet. And for that, you need to do your nutritional assessment. You assess the animal, you assess the food, the feeding method. And then what we say is develop a feeding plan. What do I feed? How much do I feed? And how do I feed it? And the veterinary team needs to collect all that information, right? So in deciding what to feed, what is the best diet or the best food for this dog or cat, you want it to be complete and balanced for the species and for the life stage, but you also want it to be adequate. There's not one single diet that's best for everyone, and most pets can do well with a variety of diets. So it's very important that the veterinary team assesses, not only the species and the life stage, but also activity level. Is it an aging pet? What is the health status? Is there any sensitivities, any metabolic disturbances? What are the preferences of the dog or cat? What is the budget of the pet owner? All of those things, the veterinary team is best situated to assess and then choosing the right product. And you want to choose a product that has guarantees. You want to choose a product that you can trust, and having nutritional standards definitely makes this much easier for everyone. I guess my key points is that adequate nutrition is essential for the health of pets. And when we have nutritional standards for health, like what should a healthy dog or a healthy cat get when they're growing, when they're adults, when they're reproducing, it gives us one way, one part of the guarantee that the food that we're choosing is going to meet the nutritional needs of the pet. So they won't have any deficiencies or any excesses, which can shorten their lifespan or affect their quality of life. It's also very important to have nutritional standards for disease and metabolic alterations, for example, like the partnuts that we have in Europe. So if we're going to use diet as part of the treatment of a disease, we can guarantee that we're doing something that is science-based, that it's for the best of the animal, that's going to, again, improve their survival and their quality of life. In order for that to happen, so standards are very important, but we are the ones applying the standards. So the veterinary professionals, we are going to be recommending preventative medicine. No, we're going to be recommending vaccination, deworming. We're also going to be recommending pet foods. And then when we have a sick animal, we are going to do all these clinical measures, including diet. So we need to be very knowledgeable. Veterinary professionals must know what are the nutritional requirements of dogs and cats in health and disease. How can we do this nutritional assessment and then choose the best food, so we can make a better world for pets, as Mars always says. In order to do so, we need veterinary nutrition education to be present in vet schools, part of the curriculum, both basic nutrition requirements and clinical nutrition. And this is what's going to help us as a profession to contribute to the health and wellness of dogs and cats. And with that, I would like to thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Cecilia. That was really very, very comprehensive. And yes, I do. I mean, what you said about the fact that nutrition is key to good health of pets. Anything in excess or anything less can cause imbalances. Also, it is very important, and this is an appeal to Dr. Chanchal Guha here, is that nutrition as a subject should definitely be included in the veterinary curriculum because it's key to animal health. And I would now request my Dr. Cecilia. We'll just have a few questions and answers with you, and I will request my colleague Akanksha to take this on. Just a quick introduction to Akanksha Singh. She's a scientific and regulatory affairs lead for Mars Petcare India. Before joining Mars, Akanksha was with the nutraceutical sector, where she has worked on policy change and regulation in India. She has a PhD in medicinal chemistry from CDRI and having postdoctoral research experience from IIT Mumbai. Once we finish the Q&A with Dr. Cecilia, we'll start with the panel discussions. So over to you, Akanksha.
Thank you, Vasudha. Thank you, Dr. Cecilia, for sharing your thoughts on the importance of having adequate nutrition and also sharing with us some of the European nutritional guidelines. Thank you so much. And thank you all our guests and esteemed panelists. A very warm welcome to all of you. Today, I have been given the privilege of discussing your views. Yes, thank you for inviting. So today I have been given the privilege of discussing your views on the topic health and welfare of cats and dogs. And we will be discussing the importance of animal nutrition, pet food standards, healthcare facilities, and how vital the One Health approach is while we talk about the health and welfare of cats and dogs. And before we start the question answer round with Dr. Cecilia, let me give a quick round of introduction for all our panelists. So with Dr. Cecilia, we have our esteemed panelist with whom we are going to spend next 1 hour. And we have Ms. Natasha Dogar. We have already heard her. Dr. Tapapriya Majumdar sir. And we also have Dr. Satrupa Sanyar. She is a Bengali independent parallel cinema film director, producer, actress, poet, as well as social and animal activist based in Kolkata. She is joining us online. And we have with us Ms. Sushmita Lahiri, who is founder and secretary, Voice for Animals, Kolkata. Dr. Utpal Tatu, who is professor at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He is also an advisor to the Feline Club of India, Bangalore. And he has also served as a member of United States Pharmacopoeia Expert Panel for Biologics. He has done extensive research on infectious diseases. In fact, his lab had developed RT-PCR kits for the detection of COVID-19. Dr. Madhumita Mukherjee, she is retired Assistant Director Fisheries, Government West Bengal. She worked as Executive Director at National Fisheries Development Board. Dr. Shada Radhakrishnan from Chaya NGO. She is actively involved in animal rescue and rehab. Dr. Aparajita Chakrabarti, she is a veterinary doctor and runs multiple vet clinics. She is also a passionate animal lover based in Kolkata. And Dr. Shubir Bhattacharya, a renowned veterinary doctor and owner of Paws and Claws Clinic in Kolkata. So before we seek our panel's view, I request our esteemed panelists to ask any questions they might have to Dr. Cecilia. Sure, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Hello, good morning. To clarify, I'm not a doctor. I just run this animal hospital for street animals, especially dogs, cows, horses. Now, my question to Madam there is, see, when we take care of hundreds and hundreds of street animals in a shelter, both, neutering, taking care of injuries, and looking after them. You see, it's very difficult to get a nutritional analysis done. How does one do that for so many? And it's a NGO, non-government organization struggling for funds every day. So on what basis do I identify whether an animal is, deficient in any particular vitamin or, any major dietary requirement? How do I even look at it? I cannot afford to do a nutritional analysis or even a blood analysis.
Yeah, that is a very good question. And there's a lot of things you can do that don't cost money. And actually, nutritional analyses are really not that good either. So I cannot really know the nutritional status of an animal just by a blood test because blood doesn't really reflect the whole body. So I focus a lot on mainly two things. On the physical exam would be your body weight and your body condition score. That will give you an idea of the energy status of the animal. If it's very thin, they need more calories. If it's overweight, they need fewer calories. And their body weight is going to be your monitoring tool. And this is something that, you need to get a scale. That would be the main investment. And for the other part, since we cannot really know the nutrition status of an animal, what I focus on is choosing a diet that is complete. Right. So just making sure that we choose a product that it's, from a good manufacturer that follows the standards. If the animal was malnourished before, we're going to fix it now. It doesn't really matter the nutritional status at this point. You just be very careful especially if you suspect the animal has been starved or not eating a lot. Just very careful introduction of a complete diet very slowly. But just focus on how's the weight doing, how's the body condition score, choosing, it doesn't have to be an expensive diet as long as it's just complete. And that should be probably something that we can all do without having to spend a lot of money, which is a great point.
Just a supplement to the same question. Yeah, I would like to ask, how good are plant proteins for dogs? Getting protein from soya, vegetables. Is it always necessary to give them proteins only from meat sources?
Another great question. The answer is both animal and plant protein can be used for dogs. Plant protein alone can be a bit more difficult because of the amino acid profile is not as suited to the dog. So most diets actually have a mixture of plant-based and animal-based. It is definitely possible to do a complete plant-based diet for dogs. You just need to choose one from a good manufacturer. But as long as it's properly processed, as long as the person who's formulating the diet knows the material and knows, because for protein, we need it for three things: energy, nitrogen, amino acid. So as long as the formulator takes that into account and it's from a digestible source with, something that the animal can use, we can have plant-based diet for dogs or a combination, which is the most common. It's just easier when you have animal-based proteins because the amino acid profile is a bit more aligned to what the dog needs. But it's definitely possible. Just make sure you choose such a product from a good company that you trust.
Great questions, Dr. Radhakrishnan.
Yeah, great question.
Dr.
Wonderful, Dr. Cecilia. Thanks for that wonderful talk. Really enjoyed it. And wonderful also to know about your association with UC Davis. I am a visiting person at UC Davis and a lot of interactions with VGL. But anyway, that aside, so much that I can catch up with you. But sort of a futuristic question, Dr. Cecilia. Would you have any comments on breed-specific nutrition? Are we actually beginning to understand, association of specific breeds and specificity of, nutritional requirement? I know it's a very broad question, but if you have quick thoughts, I'll then follow up with you in future. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. It is a great question. And I'm a big proponent of choosing a diet for a patient, especially if you have the time. and it's not the same situation with our previous person was talking about handling a large volume of animals. Some breeds are definitely prone to certain issues that can sort of be prevented by diet. At this point, I don't know that breed is just one thing, right? There are other things that are also affecting your nutritional status or your nutritional risks. So I don't know if we're going to move through a more, customized nutrition, not necessarily only by breed, but maybe by, if you live in the city, if you are very active. And we do have all of those choices out there. And I do think there is, in some cases, a benefit, not for all breeds necessarily. And you won't always need like a breed diet, if you know what I mean. If I have a Labrador in front of me that it's neutered and with very little activity, there's some things I can choose that are not necessarily a Labrador diet. But for example, Dalmatians might get some urinary issues. Specific diets may be very beneficial for them. So I do think we're going to move towards a more individualized nutrition in the future. I do think so. I don't know when, but
Thank you for that. I think your example of Dalmatian is really what I was looking for, because there are some genetic predispositions that can be managed. Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Dr. Cecily.
Yeah, we do have a lot of gene testing now also in the US, especially, that you can identify some risk factors and try to help not only with diet, but with other strategies. So I think we'll see more of that in the future. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question, Dr. Tatu. To build further on this, actually based on their sizes, breeds, and age, different pets, cats and dogs, they face different kind of health issues, and they require different kind of nutrition as well. So in fact, in Mars Petcare, we have specialized products for different breeds. Yeah, and it's a very futuristic approach. Thank you for the great question. Thank you, Dr. Cecilia, for sharing your insights on this. Very helpful. And, proper animal gives the nutrition, the vigor to grow, reproduce, and a very healthy immune system to fight infections. And to build further on this, I request Dr. Aparajita Chakrabarti to share her insights on the role of animal nutrition and veterinary education.
Yeah, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So thank you for the question. So I have been practicing, I think, for the last 24 years in Calcutta. And I have seen a lot of ups and downs, many types of dogs, cats, the emerging veterinary practice, which has been, coming up in Calcutta because, when I started, I saw that people, how they were dealing with their dogs. I mean, the pets, they were not even looked after properly. And nutrition was a very kind of, very backward kind of a thought, they never used to think about that, and owning a pet, I mean, a nice breed was like a social status in Calcutta, I have seen. And I used to go and visit dog shows and see beautiful dogs. And I used to admire them. But then slowly, I realized we really lack all the basic facilities here. And people need a lot of awareness regarding nutrition and well-being of the pets. And so, I thought of, taking the initiative in my own smaller way. And slowly I started, educating people, doing shows in my own level, and giving advices to people about the basic needs like nutrition and well-being, vaccination, everything. So slowly, I realized, yes, we need all this. We need the basic diagnostics in Kolkata. I started educating myself as I thought that I was not getting updated on the recent whatever scientific developments are taking place all over the world. So I started going and doing diplomas and short-term courses to upgrade myself so that I can take care of the current problems in Kolkata. So that way it was a long journey. And yes, now after all this, the 24th year of my practice, I can see a lot of change. I can see a lot of awareness among people. And of course, now people are coming and asking me for the simple question, like, what can I feed my dog? I have bought my new puppy, and what would be the ideal food for my dog? And I'm so happy to make them understand, give advices to them that, yes, this is what you have to give. You have to give a lot of protein. It should be a good dog food. And way back in before 24 years, Like dog food was like kind of, people used to think that it's a kind of junk food for them. So they used to think, okay, that's a street food. So why do we have to feed street food to our dogs? So it's like that. It's going to do a lot of harm to our dogs. So now the concept has changed, and I'm really happy for that. Thanks to all the companies, they are doing awareness programs and everything. People are like now Googling themselves and, finding so many answers themselves and coming to us. So that's a new development, and I really, like this. And now I have seen, you see, there's a recent survey where I saw that only 45%, till now, 45% people who buy a dog, they come to the veterinary doctor to ask for a ideal diet. The other people, the other percentage is still not aware, and they are feeding what the breeder is telling them to feed or what other friends are telling them to feed. Some are feeding, which we should not be giving them to the puppies. And so the pups, when they come with a lot of gastric issues, then we have to tell them and make them understand, and then they realize. So I think since now it's a nice effort where the veterinarians, the NGOs, and the municipal corporation dignitaries are all here. So it should be a combined effort, to make the people aware and give awareness to how to keep, what are the well-beings of, how to understand the well-beings of our pets, and of course the strays also. So I feel so happy when I see that there are so many NGOs coming up in Kolkata, nice shelters, coming up. But my request to all the people who are doing this is like, why don't we start, these dogs can, help people as a therapeutic dogs. Why don't the shelters, they go and they allow children from the school to come and interact with the dogs? So that will be a, very good development in our society. And, the people will become more pet friendly, animal friendly. And regarding nutrition, yes, nowadays we have like as a practitioner, I can say that when a person is coming to me, so if it is a puppy, I give them a puppy nutrition program. And if it is a geriatric dog, I give food which is really, necessary for that kind of dog, for an adult dog, and who is old and who needs that kind of nutrition. And yes, nowadays we have a lot of prescription diets available for dogs who have renal issues or who have cardiac issues, skin issues. So that's a huge, development, and we look forward to having more, specific things, the specific kind of nutrition for the future, in future. And I think that's all. I think, yeah.
Thank you. I think you made a very valid and important point. Understanding pet nutrition is very important. And on that note, I would like to request your opinion on that pet nutrition is currently not an integral part of the veterinary curriculum. So how is it impacting the health of the pets? And do you think there is a need that it should be made a part of the curriculum of the veterinary?
Yeah, so the veterinary education, it's a 5.5 years course nowadays, and it includes so many things. Student has to learn different subjects: surgery, gynecology, anesthesiology, radiology, and all the branches. And in this 5.5 years, I think it is not enough, to put everything, on the nutrition part in an elaborate manner. So yes, so that's why I think the span of this education is less, according to, and there are so many species to be considered. So it's really tough. I think veterinary education, studying veterinary science nowadays is tougher than studying human MBBS. So that's what I feel. It's my opinion. I don't know about others, but yes. And so in this short span, studying everything and putting everything into practice is difficult. But yes, with the new CE education program now, we have this continuous education program all over the world, even in our national level as well as it's globally. So nowadays, after passing out the veterinary graduation, student can, if the student is interested, if the doctor is interested, they can pursue so many clinical nutrition courses available. There are short-term courses, there are long-term courses. So anyone can do that and, make its importance felt in the society and in the, pet industry. So what I did in my case, I also, when I graduated, I thought my knowledge is not enough to serve the pet population as I was a private practitioner. So, I took up all those short-term courses to upgrade myself and learn about the different aspects of nutrition. In nutrition also, there are different parts. There is nutrition for the puppies. There is nutrition for critical care patients. There is different nutrition for geriatric patients. So, we have to understand those points, where and what kind of nutrition we have to give and offer to our pet parents.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Apranjita. Dr. Subir, what are your thoughts on this? If we include the pet nutrition as a subject to the veterinary curriculum, will that help maintaining the health and well-being of cats and dogs?
Thank you. Thank you very much for raising this question. The veterinary education is dependent on the national policy. Every country has a national policy, a national standard for their veterinary education. We have a common course, pan-India, that is BVC and H course. Yes, it's a 5.5 years of course. And our standard is a livestock. So we also in our curriculum we study nutrition, but then this is completely on the livestock nutrition. So there is no dearth of education in our system. The canine nutrition definitely doesn't constitute our course curriculum. That is a setback. There is a setback at this point and within the periphery of this room, because we are discussing canine and feline nutrition or small animal nutrition or shelter nutrition. That is the issue. That doesn't mean the veterinarians doesn't know. Whenever they are out of their college as a doctor, they are practicing, they feel the undercurrent that they have to know about it, and they elevate their knowledge, and accordingly they shape themselves and place themselves into the practices and provide the proper guidance to the end users, clients, and through the clients, the pets.
Thank you, Dr. Subir. So we understand it is late evening for Dr. Cecilia. Thank you, Dr. Cecilia, so much for joining us today and sharing your insights with us. And thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for the great questions.
Now moving tracks from animal nutrition to pet food standards, we understand that how important it is to understand animal nutrition. At the same time, I would say it is equally important to have pet food standards and regulations in place to make sure that pets are actually getting the right nutrition. Yeah. And with that note, I'm moving tracks from nutrition to pet food standard. And I request Dr. Ms. Natasha Dugar to narrate her ideas on how pet food standards and regulations can strengthen the approach towards focusing on pet nutrition. Natasha, ma'am, please.
Yeah, thank you, Akanksha, for your question. So, as I've already mentioned in my opening remarks, that standards are very crucial to ensure animal health and safety. And the standards which we prepare are prepared through a process of consultation. It's a very democratic system of formulation of standards. So, where the views of all the stakeholders are taken into consideration, and standards are based on scientific and technological research. So it is very important that these standards are implemented across the nation so as to provide a level playing field to all. And about regulations, BIS doesn't have a role as a regulator, So the standards that we prepare are essentially the national standards, which are voluntary in nature. Compliance to these standards can be made mandatory through regulations. As of now, the standard on pet food is not under mandatory certification, but if it comes under mandatory certification, it is always a good move to discipline the market, to have good quality products in the market, and to enhance competitiveness in the industry also. So that is what my views are on this.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for highlighting the importance of having pet food standards to ensure the health and overall well-being of pets. In fact, at Mars Pet Care, ensuring that pets get the right nutrition in the right quantities is at the center of everything we do. Dr. Badhumita, what are your thoughts on this? How a pet food regulation and a standard will benefit the overall health and well-being of cats and dogs?
Thank you. Actually, I'm not assistant director, additional director. Anyway, I'm from fisheries background. So my one small question to you, that is what's the protein source of animal food, rather dog and cat food? That is quite interesting because most of the time I have seen, yeah, I'm basically microbiology is my subject, that is disease and other things. So maybe disease time I can give you some inputs. For nutrition purpose, I have I'm facing some problem, that is sometimes we are using dry fish as a protein source. Sometimes maybe animal, but from where? The source of the protein. That is key. My point is that is a key point because most of the cases for dry fish, we are using formaldehyde, and it's highly, carcinogenic and a highly problematic food, problematic chemical for human body, also for the animal body. And sometimes we are using the other source that is also maybe contaminated with pesticides and other things. So that is the key point, I think, for nutrition of the all kind of pets. That is where we are getting the protein food. That has to be ensured for the pets. So this is my concern, and I have done a lot of work on that, especially for formalin detection with Rajabaja Science College and another area. So
I think that's a great question, ma'am. And when we say quality protein, actually there are two parameters. One, it has to be highly digestible, that can be digested well, as Dr. Cecilia was mentioning. It has to be digested well by cats and dogs, number one. And number two, the amino acid profile that is there, it has to be closely relevant to cats and dogs. So that those are the two important criteria. And as you mentioned about formaldehyde, so only those additives and preservatives or anything that is added should be in accordance to the standards, and it should have proven record of safety.
Actually, formaldehyde, there is no standard for using formaldehyde. Safe standard. It's harmful.
Yes, it should not be used.
Yeah, it should not use. Like, I'm not interested about the source of the protein. I'm not talking about the amino acids percentage, how many percentage you are using, what kind of amino acid. That's not the question. The source of protein, from where you are getting the protein in the food.
I think Dr. Cecilia had touched upon this topic, and how she mentioned that there could be different sources for protein. It could be from animal sources. It could also be from plant sources. It could also be from a mixed sources. So yeah, there are a variety of sources available.
But in India, where we are giving food to the street dog and other things, I don't think we are caring about all these things. Thank you.
Thought-provoking question. Thank you. Now, having discussed the very important topics of animal nutrition and pet food standards and regulations, moving to the next important topic, that is One Health. One Health is actually an approach that recognizes the health of people is closely connected to the health of animals as well as the shared environment. And it is an approach of very effectively treating the outbreaks of diseases and health issues. With us today is Dr. Utpal Tatu, who is an expert proponent of this area. So I request Dr. Tatu to share his ideas on this subject and to help us understand this concept better.
Thank you, Dr. Akanksha, for introducing this topic. Again, thanks for this wonderful discussion. I will somehow connect this topic to the pet nutrition also, I would say, so that there's continuity. Dr. Cecilia and others very nicely mentioned nutrition and health, how they are connected, and we are enlightened by that, and we all concur. Malnutrition obviously compromised health. Malnutrition results in immunocompromise, and that's where the disease connection comes in. Imagine a stray dog on the streets, getting food from leftovers, from plastic bags. I mean, far from balanced diet. It's just barely surviving, highly immunocompromised, and thereby a great danger in many ways because it's carrying infection, it is suffering, it is actually chronically ill through exposure to various infectious diseases that some of the experts like Dr. Parajita, Dr. Murli will tell us more about. What I want to tell you is that you mentioned the word One Health, and this is what I've been sort of practicing for over a decade now, that human society always looks at human health as of paramount importance, forgetting that human health cannot actually be looked upon in isolation. Human health, if you want to be healthy, we really have to look at the environment altogether, animals, birds, soil, water, around everything around us. And we are talking here today about animals, and still in the midst of the pandemic, I would like to remind you that COVID-19 emerged out of bat, we think, or something similar. While I still talk about COVID-19, today's newspaper will tell you about monkeypox. Many of you don't know that monkeypox actually emerged again out of animals, not monkey, but prairie dog. Prairie dog, I mind you, is not a dog, luckily. It's not a canine, but prairie dog is a kind of a squirrel, a rodent. So rodent was supposedly the first carrier from which monkeypox was transmitted to humans in 1970 first, 68, 70. And then, of course, in West Africa, Central Africa, it read itself, eventually showing up again, not only in underdeveloped nations like Africa, but today there are thousands of cases as we speak in the United States of America. This is the reality. I mean, how can we not see it? It's written on the wall. And I think, we just turning a blind eye to this, what you might call a ticking time bomb. Even though we have seen COVID-19, we really have to do much more to make sure that animals are safe, they are free of infections. It's good for the animals, but also for humans. And one way to do that is, of course, optimal diet, which I think wonderful to hear that MAS is doing in its own way, feed strays and so on. And we just can't do enough. There are over 30 million strays in India, altogether 80 million. These are the numbers that I heard from Mr. Nitin today. How are we going to cope with it? 6% growth rate. Imagine the numbers next year. Imagine the numbers next year. Nothing that we will do will be enough, but all we can do is try. And it's wonderful to see today the initiative taken by Mars Petcare to dwell on this important topic. Thank you so very much, Dr.
Thank you, sir. I would say this is very eye-opening to understand this approach, how the efforts by just one sector are not sufficient to eliminate or prevent the problem. It has to be a holistic approach. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, sir. So while we are discussing about One Health, I request Dr. Tapapriya Majumdar, sir, to share your ideas and views on all the stakeholders coming together from NGOs, citizens, corporates, government, and acting as a proponent of One Health.
Actually, KMC has its own infrastructure for public safety that I have already said. Now, different NGOs approach us. In fact, our public safety staff, they're well connected with people like personalities like Maneka Gandhi, and we have frequent talks with her. All of the complaints, most of the complaints, she gets a complaint from Kolkata right to Delhi, and from there we cater what she wants. In that case, we have a lot of NGOs wanting our help regarding this public safety. Now, since one thing we don't have is that proper animal hospital, dog hospital. We have acres and acres of land in our Dhapa dog pound, where easily a big, at least 100 kennel hospital can be built. But since in government, anything, this takes a long time and a long process. That's what we think we cannot do it right now, but there are plans that we're doing it. But these programs we are having, these frequent programs of sterilizing stray dogs and vaccinating stray dogs. In fact, I have done my vaccination of stray dogs myself. These things we are continuing. And any NGOs wanting to help us, we always entertain them. We always extend money. We want their cooperation. And if they want our cooperation, we are ready to help.
Thank you, sir. Great perspective, sir. Having pets comes with numerous benefits. They make our lives more livable. They make great companions. They even teach us good things as well. So with that, Miss Sharda Radhakrishnan ma'am, what are your views on how they make this world a better place for us? And
See, I run an animal hospital called Chaya, and I have 500 plus dogs there on any given day, admitted as dog patients, abandoned. We have one-legged, two-legged, three-legged dogs, all of them. And that is the most stress-free time of my day when I'm there among them. You just look at a dog and the eyes of the dog, they relate to you in such a beautiful way. They just want you to kind of cuddle them and pet them. That's all they require. And therefore it improves human health. There are so many studies which says blood pressure will be controlled and you walk with your dog, your diabetes is under control, definitely. But then also the sad part is that there are the pets in home which are like children of which in our families, and then those street children living on the pavements, those are our street dogs, which don't get that much care as home owned pets do. So when we talk about nutrition, you see the dogs on the road, I mean, even NGOs, when we are working, it's very difficult for us to give them any kind of pet food on a regular basis because we simply can't afford. It is beyond their reach. So we try our best taking care of their health. If the dog on the street is taken care of, definitely human health surrounding it is also taken care of. We hope for the best. After that, we just leave it to powers above us.
wow. So I'll request Dr. Satrupa Sanyal now. And how does she think that pets make this world a better place for us? Dr. Satrupa Sanyal. Ms. Sushmita Lahiri. Hi. So please share your ideas on, what kind of challenges you face while managing these strays and what kind of challenges you see, in terms of healthcare facilities that are available for strays and pets both.
Hello, everybody. Actually, since I floated an NGO called Voice for Animals in April 2010. I am an ardent animal lover, and this burning compassion for animals make me found the Voice for Animals, this NGO. Compassion for animals is a divine feeling. Today, in this forum of distinguished fellow panelists and guests, I would like to share some of my thoughts and feelings in line with today's topics and agenda. First and foremost, I strongly feel that every house in your cities or villages should take care of at least one or couple of stray dogs in their localities in terms of providing them food and health care
then the major problem of innumerable stray dogs going hungry and suffering ill health without treatment can be mitigated to a great extent. I personally feed 200 street dogs every day with chicken, rice, and sometimes with pedigree and all this kind of dry foods. And find that we have to face lots of challenges regarding giving treatment to street dogs as well as feeding them, because local peoples, due to lack of awareness, they sometimes feel that the stray dogs are a menace for the roads, and they try to get rid of them by asking us to relocate them somewhere else, which is against law. So we should bring more awareness among common people, so they don't feel threatened by the menace of street dogs and all, and that we can do in numerous ways. I personally feel that if all the NGOs, irrespective of their operating scale to their capacities, can dedicatedly take measures of conducting animal birth control program alongside vaccination drive, that can result in a controlled number of our canine friends on the roads, which also will make the roads safer for humans. If the canine population is properly sterilized and vaccinated, then humans will also feel safer on the roads.
Thank you, ma'am.
Last but not the least, I also feel that if bodies like Animal Welfare Board of India or the state animal welfare boards can introduce and implement stringent measures of checking the rampant breeding of domestic dogs, as doing so has severe health implication on dogs. They will enjoy good health, and pet and domestic dogs have to be well treated and maintained with love and humanity. And if the same could be a checkpoint for the animal welfare boards, then I am certain that pet dogs will not be subjected to any maltreatment by their owners and will enjoy a good quality of life. So having said all that, let's do our bit to make sure we make this planet a happy place for all our furry friends. Let's give them their much deserved love and care and make them feel loved, wanted, and cared for. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As we were discussing about One Health approach, we understood that working towards managing the health and welfare of pets is something that cannot be done in silo. It has to be a multi-sectorial approach. So with that note, I request Dr. Tapapriya Majumdar, sir, what are your views on, on public-private partnership? How can that design policies for the betterment of pets?
Actually, we have a number of NGOs who are engaged in this type of work. So most of them are doing excellent work. For example, I know of an NGO which was previously, run by Devasri Roy, and one of our staff, Rajiv Ghosh, he's very much closely associated with her. He has narrated to me what are the jobs they are doing. And I think that if these type of NGOs, they carry on this type of job, then the corporation will be in a very good position in contributing to the public safety if they get cooperation from all these NGOs. These are my views.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very enlightening. And with this, we come to the end of this panel discussion. And when I was first introduced to this category, I used to think, why can't pets have the same food that we have? So from that day to today, when we have discussed and understood how important it is to understand animal nutrition, and at the same time, how important it is to have pet food standards, regulations, policies, public-private partnerships, working towards One Health approach. With this note, I'd like to really thank all our panelists, guests, and the audience for a very insightful and enriching discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Akanksha. That was indeed a very invigorating discussion as well. And thank you all the panelists for for your views and for participating and really telling from the heart what it is that is required today. So thank you. Now for the second panel, our panel moderator is Mr. Samik Ghoshal, a proud indie pet parent and an ardent pet lover. Samik has been with Mars Petcare for 3 years, leading the Amazon business. Before joining Mars, Samik led the e-commerce business for Louis Philippe, working with Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail Limited. He holds an MBA from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, Delhi, and a BTech from the National Institute of Technology, Rourkela. He firmly believes that love has no breed. So over to you, Samik.
Thank you so much, Vasudha, for that kind introduction. Indeed, love has no breed. First off, I'd like to welcome our esteemed guests on the dais, our chief guest and the guests of honor. All of the esteemed panelists, thank you so much for being here today with us, taking time out for this noble cause, and stakeholders in the audience, stakeholders from the media, from NGOs, from the corporation, right? I'd like to touch upon what Madam Sharda Radhakrishnan just mentioned. When you look into the eyes of a dog, be it a stray dog or be it a pet in your house, the kind of love that you feel, or the kind of sense of bonding that you feel, that's what makes our lives better, right? So isn't it our responsibility to make a better city for them, right? Better cities for these pets. So that's the topic for the second panel discussion: better cities for pets at home and on the streets. I would like to quickly introduce our panel here. We have Dr. S. Chini Krishna, who's joining us online. Of course, sir, we heard your inaugural address and it was very inspiring. Thank you. We have Dr. Rumina Mondal. She is a postdoctoral researcher at the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, IISER, Kolkata. Welcome, ma'am. We have Dr. Utpal Das also joining us virtually online. Thank you, sir, for being here with us. Superintendent Veterinary Officer, Kolkata Municipal Corporation. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of our esteemed panel. We have Mr. S. Raman, who's Secretary of Calcutta Kennel Club. Welcome, sir. We have Miss Neela Tatu also. Again, I'd go virtual. Miss Neela Tatu has joined us from Bangalore. She's involved in a lot of animal welfare activities and an NGO in Bangalore. Next, we have Dr. Mullidhar. Thank you so much, sir, being here. He's President of the Vet Society for Animal Welfare and Rural Development. Welcome, sir. We also have Ms. Shanti Das Boshak. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. She's Additional Special Superintendent of Police CID. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking time out and being a part of this session. We have Mr. Sujay Raha. He's from Pawpet Healthcare, Kolkata. Looking forward to the discussion. Sujayji, thank you so much for gracing the occasion. We have Arijit Mukherjee. He's part of Cats and Dogs, and he's an ardent animal lover and animal activist as well. Welcome, Arijit. We have Ms. Mopia Banerjee from Ashari, which comes under the aegis of People for Animals, PFA. I had the good fortune of visiting Ashari some days back, and it's inspiring the kind of work your organization or even organizations like Chaya are doing, right? So I'd like to first start by calling upon Dr. Chini Krishna. Sir, if you're there, if I can bring you in for the first question. Yes, Dr. Chini Krishna, are you there? Can you hear me? Sir, I'd like to bring you in.
I'm here.
Thank you so much, sir. So I'd like to bring you in for the first question, just to set the context and define what does better cities for pets at home and better cities for pets on the streets, our companion animals on the streets, mean to you, and how can we set the context for this discussion?
As I already mentioned, a street is really no place for a dog. Cats are a little different, but even for a domesticated cat, every cat and dog deserves a good home. The fact remains that, it was our irresponsibility that got the cats and dogs onto the street because of our allowing them to reproduce when we were not able to keep them properly at home. It is now our responsibility to make sure that this problem is tackled in the most humane way possible, which means that every animal welfare organization should concentrate on its animal birth control program as an integral part of the work that they are doing.
Thank you, sir. I think you set the context, and the point that you've closed your initial address with is aggressive ABC, is what I understand, right, sir? So I think I'd like to bring in Dr. Rubina Mandal. Ma'am, what do you think? While obviously there are ABC activities being carried out in pockets, and that's how you can reduce the population of strays, thereby making it a better cities for pets on the streets. How do you think this can be implemented in a much more structured manner, not just in Calcutta, but across the country and scaled up significantly so that the compound annual growth rate of 6% of pets, we can somehow mitigate that and control the population?
Hi everyone, and thanks for the question. So it is estimated that you need ABC coverage of around 70% of the dogs to have a statistically significant reduction in the number of dogs over a period of like 5 to 10 years, because this is not going to be an overnight effect that you can see. But however, having said that, it's like the kind of efforts that are being put in by whether it's by the individuals or shelters, they are like putting in tiny drops where we need to make the effort to actually have a big effort at one time so that there is a noticeable difference in the number of dogs are that should be there on the streets. And not just ABC, this needs to be there needs to be efforts to have the dogs which are being neutered taken into homes and being adopted and not just left on the streets, because ABC does not just guarantee the welfare of an animal, it just prevents it from meeting and reproducing. So our focus should not just be on the population control, but also on the welfare of the animals that are existing on the streets. So it needs to be coupled with adoption. That's what I think.
Right. A very pertinent point. I think I heard you on ABC, and I'll move to Ms. Mopia Banerjee. And of course, then I'll move to adoption as well. ABC, of course, like we've discussed, is a significant action area through which we can bring down the population, and your NGO has been doing a lot of ABCs, right? However, what are the kind of challenges that you face around sterilization as a concept, and how do you think we can scale it up? What is your experience with the whole piece?
Thank you, Samik, for the question. So when we're talking about sterilization, it's not only about birth control measure. It takes care of a lot of things actually, because when you're sterilizing a dog, when you're taking control of the mating thing, it means it also guarantees limitation in cancer and TVT cases, because the more the dogs are mating, they keep on spreading each other. And the second thing is that when there's low mating rates, or the dogs are not coming in heat, that means there are less fights, which also takes control of maggot wounds. So it's not only about limiting the population, but it's also helping in a lot of follow-up treatments, right? That is one thing. Second is, when we are talking about sterilization, we need to the problems, if you talk about, when we are addressing an area. Yeah. When we are addressing an area, the first thing is that, having people coming forward to help us identify the dog, someone taking responsibility, being on spot and coming up as a caregiver or a point of coordination. That is a big thing that we often find people that, no, raste ka kutta hai, why should we take the responsibility? Yeah, but that is not the thing. Someone has to come forward. And when we are talking about a better city for pets, and pets in a broader scale, including the one at home and on the streets, when we stop differentiating among dogs or any breeds in particular, that is the first thing that can create a better city and a better environment for the animals. Because when we are seeing pedigree dogs on advertisement, and for example, when Hutch was promoting with Pug. Yeah, so obviously people, Pug is a friendly breed.
Pug sales also increased.
Exactly. Same went for golden retrievers. Some brands were promoting Beagle as well.
Right.
So, and now people are coming up with promoting indies in the advertisement. And public people and public figures coming up with posts of indies, and they are showing that they are, adopting indies. That is creating awareness. So gradually the awareness is happening. But we need to aware more people and connect with more people. And that is how, and that is where sterilization programs also comes in. The more we sterilize, the population we are limiting. That way we are helping creating a better environment for the animals mostly, and of course for the human beings as well.
Right. Thank you, Mopia. I think what the takeaway here is sterilization is not only for birth control, it is for disease mitigation, it is vaccination, and it is to control their aggressiveness, aggression, thereby making them much more habitable, adoptable, right? So a very natural progression to this is adoption, right? Now, I am a proud pet parent to an 11-year-old beautiful Indie, and there is no other person or entity alive on this planet that I love more. However, I do not think my indie or indies on the streets get the kind of love that they deserve. Arijit, what is your point of view? How can we break these barriers of adoption? You know, you saw Charlie as a movie and suddenly Labrador demands have picked up. Now, how do we promote, let's say, a movie on indies or promote awareness so that there are these barriers that we can, surmount?
When we are talking about better city for pets, and you ask, what do you mean by better city of pets? Like, I operate from a place called Salt Lake in Kolkata. It comes under Bidhannagar Municipal Corporations. Unfortunately, Bidhannagar Municipal Corporation doesn't have any infrastructure for veterinary services. So there's no vet work for them. What happens if we find our stray dog met in an accident? We have to actually get help from private practitioners. But there are a lot of private practitioners are not very keen to come and help when it comes down for accident of stray animals. KMC people just mentioned they have infrastructures. Now, I have a gentleman from Belgache Veterinary Hospital. I'll request, if Vidhannagar doesn't have a veterinary support, why don't we get certain amount of support from them so that we can have actually a better city, a better place for stray animals in Salt Lake? For all NGOs like Ashari and Chaya, they have their own limitations. So we can't expect them to run out every parts and corners in Kolkata to feed or take care of the stray animals. Now, coming to the point, like we've been knowing about two dogs called Mudal Hound and Rajapalaya. They are also indie dogs.
Indeed, right, absolutely.
Now, why don't we have certain amount of promotions or their pictures on the packets of the foods available from different brands? Why it's indie? It's an Indian pariah.
Yes, absolutely. Indian pariah dog. That's what we call them.
Why call with them only Indian pariahs? They are mongrels, Indian pariahs. Now, they are like human beings are aware of controlling their reproductive system, but not the animals. They don't have any kind of family plannings. They don't have any kind of productions and other stuff. We are the people who have to educate them. How educate that Mopia told us, like neutering is one of the best part. But in the same time, we have to have a lot of awareness of speeding cars on the road. The dog doesn't know how the car comes and what happens after they hit. We have to have public awareness. We have to have support from the polices. There has to have some kind of laws that you can't just go and hit a stray animals and say Rasa Gutta tha. No. There are a lot of things has to be coming from the administrative part. Like NGOs are private bodies. They are not administrative. Administration has to have certain amount of support given to the NGOs or some similar individual working for stray animals. Now, otherwise, it's very difficult to maintain things. So I think there a lot of has to be teamwork, and any kind of teamwork has to have us. It has to be not I. It has to be we.
All of us.
All of us.
All of us in this room, probably. All of us coming together, right? Mr. Sujay, I'll come to you. Ma'am, Shantidas Bashak, ma'am, thank you so much for gracing this occasion. We just heard about, the police, and we've heard a lot of good work being done by the police. I think I've heard from Arijit as well. But there are two aspects that I would like to touch. I would like you to touch upon. One would be on cruelty cases, which are regular human cruelty towards our companion animals on the streets. How can we reduce these instances of cruelty through legal ways, through tighter action? That is one. How do you deal with cruelty cases for companion animals on the street? And second is all of these cases of, let's say, a hit and run, where probably it is not very intentional, but it happens as an accident on the streets. How can we mitigate that? And as a whole community, not just the police, of course, you've been doing a brilliant job. How can we come together and reduce such instances to make a better city for pets?
First of all, good morning to all the eminent persons present over here. To begin with, actually, I have been in touch with Arijit for long. So when I was 10 years back, when I was Assistant Commissioner of Police, Bidhannagar, I used to get certain complaints. But the complaints are not regarding cruelty against animal. The complaints are like this. Some people are there who used to feed the street dogs and street cats. The complaints are like this. The person who is feeding, she or he is a insane or a mad person. So we used to get complaints like this. And moreover, what everybody is means everybody will agree, and like Dr. Aparajita and Arijit, they have already mentioned it, that awareness is the main thing. People should be compassionate. It should come from here, love, what you propagate. So basically it's love and it should come from here. So cruelty against animals, the laws are very weak. It's a cognizable offense. That means anyone can be arrested. But when there is a hit and run case, we get no complaints. So that is very important. People think that our time is so important that we cannot spare our time. We cannot go to the police and lodge a complaint. So let a street dog die like that only. So basically one has to be compassionate. One has to be aware. Because the whole society basically needs to be aware regarding this, and the laws are not that strong. So it's very difficult to take any legal actions. The section under IPC is 427, 20, 428 and 429. They are very weak sections and all the three sections are bailable. The penal section is only 428 and it's bailable. So until and unless the penal sections will be strong enough so that you can punish a person, and the fine amount is also starts from 25,000. It can go up to 1 lakh, but for third consecutive case only. So first of all, the penal sections are so weak that you cannot take action properly. And even if you lodge a complaint against anyone and he goes to the police station and gets bail from there only, then you cannot take any action. That's why from legal aspect, it's really very difficult. But and that is the only way that is that we can create awareness, and we can take all the cases in a very compassionate way. And I'm always there. I have been working for the welfare of the animals, not only pets, street dogs. I have rescued many wild animals who are in the purview of the wild animals category. I have rescued mongoose, and that mongoose was with me in my home for 1.5 years. And after that, I left. I released him to one of the forest under Bidhannagar only. So I have rescued squirrels, just 4 days old squirrels, and again I have released them. And now I have 8 pets in my house. So it's my personal interest. I am doing all those things I have not purchased a single pet. All of them are rescued and they are with me only because they feel that they should be with me, because the pigeon which I rescued, it's a handicap one. He can't fly, so he stayed back. So in this way, and the most important thing is that in my house there are cats which I have rescued, and pigeons, and again handicapped parakeet and jungly parakeet. So predator and prey, they stay in harmony. But but in our society, means those loving dogs and those loving animals, we can't stay in harmony with them. We always try to harm them. So first of all, what I think is that the laws should be very more strict, and so that the law enforcement agency can work on it. Until and unless the laws are strong, we can't do anything. So first of all, the laws should be much more strict. Their enforcement should be strict. And the next is that awareness. Awareness is, I will give very much stress on awareness, because it is I, for my in my this 12 years of service, I have found the only thing which can help in every regard is the awareness and cooperation among all the departments of the society and all the stakeholders of the society. So in that way, that cooperation and awareness and strictness of law is much more required.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think very important sentence that you mentioned, predator and prey live in harmony in your house. I think we can have a big round of applause for ma'am. She's a shining beacon of hope. Ma'am, for you and the entire police department, whatever you're doing, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And what I heard from you is, first, of course, is care, compassion, and love. Second is the laws need to be more stringent, perhaps advocacy, public policy making, and forums like such as these can push for stronger laws so that law enforcement can work. And all sections of the society need to come together to make this happen, right? On that point, Mr. Sujay, I'd just like to bring you in on adoption, of course, like we discussed, right? How can we break the barriers around adoption? Because if suddenly adoption increases, there will be lesser pets on the streets. And at a compounding rate of adoptions, we'll probably have a better cities for pets, right?
Right. Thank you for the question. Mainly I would like to ask these NGOs, those who are helping for adoption, mainly Chaya and Ashari, all are doing very well work. So I would like to request them that if they put some, what happened, a person love to get attracted with their small puppies, okay, at the first point. But after a few months or after a few years, they've suffered a lot. So we can't put a gun on anyone's head to keep the dog, that you have to keep the dog and all. So many times we get a result that the dog, they used to abandon those dogs. So I would like to request these NGOs that to put some chip or to make something, something advanced technology should be there. Otherwise, we used to found many dogs on the roads. So it's better to put some chips or something. We should have some technology so that we can trace the owners to get him back. So this is my request. All I think I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Sujay. Very good point. Dr. Mulyadhar, I'd also like to bring you in on the whole adoption piece. What's your view? The way Sujay mentioned, there are challenges around adoption. Then dogs get adopted, but probably the right temperament or the right bonding is not there, and then they get abandoned. We'll come to abandonment also, sir. But what's your view on adoption? How do we supersede these barriers?
First of all, good morning, everyone. When natural calamity or when pandemic comes, the humankind goes to the animal kind. As long as there is no bonding with the pets, animals. When the crisis come like COVID, every people has gone to the dogs and animals as a pets. During the COVID time, the number of pet parents and the number of pet dogs adoption has increased, is doubled. In other words, is doubled. Though some people during the COVID, some people they left, abandoned their dogs, but only by this hearing to the rumors that even dogs can spread the COVID. But even their children also got the COVID, but they're not abandoned the children, but the dogs because they are voiceless. But many of them, many of the pet parents, the pet parenting during the COVID has increased a lot. And after increasing, and when the dogs are coming into the 80 million dogs we have in India, how to mitigate this problem. It's not overnight, cannot happen, and it's not with the only few NGOs. Say about 100 for 150 to 200 NGOs. That is a very, very small number to address the problem. 7 crores of pet stray dog population to be adopted. That should be the drive. That should be the target. Issue is, and it's not only the we NGOs or some officials, some companies doing this policy will not help, but government should take and think something and bring some strict policy. We are 125, 130 crores of population in India. At least 7 crores of population can't be addressed. With the 50, let us assume that 50% of the households, even 50% of households, even less than that, 7 crores of households out of 125 crores. If take one puppy into as adoption, this problem is mitigated. And now is this no kind of meeting is required to address them because the actions are not being done. That's the reason today we are meeting, and at least not today we have made an initiation. We have made an initiative by the Mars to take this address this problem. At least see everything starts with something. So that's what today what we are doing, and already they are done in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi, and today is in Kolkata. We thank Mars for that. And coming to the shelters, shelters is how many? That is the most required thing for the animals, stray dogs, addressing the stray dogs' concerns, their diseases, and when they're hit and run, as Madam told, and when they're sick. There's no one, only 2 or 3 NGOs I'm seeing here, 2 or 3 NGOs for the population like Kolkata. How we can mitigate the problem? They might be doing only for 100, 200 dogs, but such a number of NGOs to be encouraged, more number of NGOs to be included. They should be empaneled with the corporations of the concerned municipal corporation, and they have to work together. At least for Kolkata, I believe at least not less than 80 to 100 NGOs are required to mitigate the problem of the stray dogs in Kolkata. And not that the pond, what we have, the 280 capacity of the pond will not help in any ways. And as you mentioned, when the dog gets hurt, they get met with an accident, who is then going to take care? So private practice, definitely not. We cannot see. When the stray dog is met with an accident, the person need to go and handle the stray dog. It's not that going and treating. Someone has to go there and you have to leave the dog and just do the first aid and then bring it to the hospital. This is a skilled work. This is a labor trained work. This will not happen only the one NGO working for such total city. What about the rest of the part of the cities of the animals? So these are all the things the administration, local body has to think and collaborate with the existing NGOs, encourage NGOs. And the shelters has to be increased, and the number of capacity of the shelters to be increased to address the problems, and the stray dog ambulances to be adopted, at least not less than 1, at least not less than 10 ambulances for stray dogs for the 24 hours, having a special hospital for the stray dogs to be. I request the corporation to look into that, and if you'll be grateful if you do that, and you'll be the first person, the first corporation in the India if you do that. So definitely is our request for. And coming to the ABC program. ABC program is now again the number comes the 7 crores of ABC animal birth control operations. I'm running an NGO and we have done more like 4 lakhs operation across India, all over India. That is that the figure what we are looking at? Are we reaching the ABC program? As what the WHO says that at least in 2 breeding cycles we need to do the 70% of the ABC programs. When you are not doing the 70% population, the number of the what are the money you are investing, what are the number of operations you are doing, what are the expenses being incurred, and that is going to be waste. Because in one breeding cycle, dogs the proliferation rates is very. So that is the reason wherever we go, whichever municipality calls us for that to take up the activity, then I request them, if you are starting the program, see that it will run till the end of the program. Don't stop middle of the program. If you're stopping the middle of the program, the tender, what you're calling for, it is going to the money what you spend, some crores or rupees, at least 3 crores, 4 crores, what you have spent. That money is going to be waste. If it will take little till the end of the program, then only start the program. Unless until you make the infrastructure for the state dogs ABC program, we don't take up, and please don't start the program also. The minimum facility, and you should count the number of the population of Kolkata city. What is the state dog population, and how to approach within at least for keep a target period 2 years period. How to approach to reach the 2 years period. This means number of operations. So that many NGOs, how many NGOs we have across India? We have very less number of NGOs to take up the ABC programs. When Chinnikrishna sir was the vice president, he was the person who was encouraged. But now is the very less number of NGOs in the across India, is very less number of NGOs. And so my request is please find more number of NGOs in the local body to collaborate with them and more the ABC to be done. If within two be the aggressive ABC to be done as one thing. And coming to the social status of the stray dogs and pet dogs, we need to now the situation has come now. The animals also given be equal rights. The animals also have the right to live. Animals have the right to food. So they have the right to have this facility like what which our children has. So in the same way, in the Telangana government, we made them to do one dog park. They're maintaining the dog park now. Now every state government, they are coming with a slogan, we are a pet-friendly city. Now Hyderabad is the one, and now next Ludhiana, they're going to claim that they're also pet-friendly city. For that, they are making some infrastructure for the facilities for the dogs and cats. Can we have the photos, please? Just you see, this is the dog park, which is being maintained by us in Hyderabad.
Can we have the picture up, please?
This is a wonderful place for the pets and the owners in Hyderabad. They bring in to the dog park. They play with them. The dogs are left to leash out all the dogs, and all the dogs they keep on playing in the entire park. So 1.8 acres the park is. Please go to keep on scrolling. This is the ambience is created in the Hyderabad city. And the pet owners, they come, they enjoy their pets while running, while playing, and the pets also they learn the socializing. And you see, many of the pets, this is the only small number, but in our short weekends we get about 200 to 300 dogs. All the dogs are leashed out without any belt and all the dogs are leashed out, and they get socialized like this. The pet owners they get socialized, they get emotionally connected. So every city now is coming up with the dog parks now. To claim them as the pet-friendly city. Even Ludhiana is going to start now. So these are the things what I would like to say. Yeah,
This is beautiful, Dr. Mulidhar. I think we can have a big round of applause for this. This is exactly what better cities for pets looks like, right? Pet-friendly parks. And this was one of our key points in the discussion for pets at home. How do we make a better city? I think just scaling this up to multi-city levels, having more and more pet-friendly parks, not just for our pets at home, but for our companion animals as well, can make a beautiful, better city for pets. On that note,
one minute.
Yes.
Coming to the business, now since we are discussing the pet nutrition and the stray dog nutrition also. Stray dog nutrition because when no one is we having an eye on that, no one is going to feed them every day. Now I can request Mas to develop a product, small nutrition balls something. So and give to the have some R&D, give the nutrition balls to the animal lovers and all. Just by giving the nutritional food, it should supplement all the nutrition requirements. So this will be a great opportunity for the as a business also. And well, healthcare facilities now in many cities all the pet practitioners are in the clinics now we are upgraded now. Now we have got all the equipments. We got earlier we used to import, otherwise we used to depend on the human labs. Now every pet hospital, most of the pet hospital we have self-equipped. So that the facility can be used for the state dogs and municipal corporation also collaborate with the private pet practitioners and give them the opportunity to serve the stray dogs and e-pay for the service they rented. This is a good business community to help the stray dogs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Muralidhar. I think a great address there. You've given us a holistic picture, and at the beginning or at the forefront of that picture was more and more shelters, NGOs being equipped, being empowered, more and more ambulances for shelters and NGOs to work with ABC, awareness, adoption, etc. We have Mr. Ajay Daga joining in from Ashari as well. Sir, I'll come to you. Thank you for joining us. And of course, Raman sir, I'll also come to you. Before that, we'll move to our online panelists. Dr. Utpal Das, I'd like you to come in, please. Superintendent Veterinary Officer, Kolkata Municipal Corporation. Sir, are you there with us? You've been there since the very beginning of this address. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I would like to ask you your views on what does better cities for pets at home and pets on the streets mean? What are the challenges you're facing and what is the kind of work that the KMC has been doing on the ground to make this a beautiful city for pets? So please. Okay. So are you there on cue? I think the internet has acted up. Probably that's the magnitude of the work that the KMC is doing, which the internet also agrees with at this point. Ma'am, Neela Tatu, till Dr. Utpal joins us, would you like to give us your point of view on Better Cities for Pets and the kind of work you've been doing on ground? Ma'am, you're on mute. If you could unmute yourself. Welcome, ma'am. Ma'am, you're not audible yet. In the meantime, Dr. Utpal has joined us. Can we quickly bring in Dr. Utpal? Dr. Utpal, you're on mute as well. If you could unmute yourself, that will be great.
Okay.
Hi, sir. We can hear you.
And to do animal welfare, shelter or pound is essential. Actually, shelter or pound is the place where stray animals are impounded until they are claimed by their owners. But our Dhapa dog pound is something different in concept. We are keeping dogs there mainly for ABC ARV program primarily and secondarily for trauma cases, rabies cases, distemper parvo, and also canine transmissible venereal sarcoma cases for chemotherapeutic treatment. This was just told by our executive health officer, Dr. Mojumdar. And KMC also selected a place at Bhatchala where a multi-storied large dog pound will be built up with better veterinary facilities. Generally, stray and community dogs are captured from the pre-specified locality by the expert dog catchers with lasso or loop stick and transported them through dog catching vans sheltered in dog pound for neutering. We have 273 kennels in Dhapa and 33 kennels in Entally dog pound. After resting for a few days and deworming, dogs are operated by our expert veterinary surgeons under dissociative anesthesia, and subsequently the dogs are released in their own territory from where they were caught after post-operative follow-up or routine anti-rabies vaccination. Now, one government-sponsored ABCRV program is going on, and we are covering 3 wards of each borough. Kolkata has 144 wards and 16 boroughs, and we are covering 3 wards of each borough for ABC ARV program since 4th July, and our target is vaccination of 88,000 stray dogs. The figure is given by ARD department through their survey. They are telling that 88,000 stray dogs are in Kolkata, and during this program, 50% they are assuming male, 44,000 castration of male dogs will be done. And I had one term in the seminar, End Pet Homeless Index. To me, to increase this EPH index, adoption of stray dogs are utmost essential by the popular people of the society. My appeal is rather than keeping a pedigree dog, adopt one Indies breed mongrel, give home to the homeless by adopting mongrels. Only adoption of mongrel dogs by the celebrities change the attitudes of common people. It will give a vibrant message to the common people keeping pedigree dogs. They will change gradually their attitude, keeping mongrel, which will be a symbol of high social standard later on. Again, the knowledge, attitude, practice, KAP is coming. KAP, regarding KAP, has already been mentioned by my teacher, Professor Chanchal Guha.
Right, sir.
With these words, I want to conclude and wish the event all success.
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, ধন্যবাদ স্যার। আজকে আপনি আমাদের সাথে আছেন, এখানে দাঁড়িয়ে আছেন আমাদের পাশে। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ স্যার। ম্যাডাম নীলা টাটু, like to bring you in the same question, the kind of work you've been doing on the ground, the challenges you face. How do you think we can make a better world for pets, better city for pets? Ma'am, we can't hear you. You're on mute. If you could kindly unmute, it'll be great. Okay, seems like we are facing certain technical challenges. You can maybe try muting and unmuting once. Ma'am, can you try unmuting once? Okay, ma'am, we still can't hear you, but I think if possible, we'll just come back to you later if you've managed to sort out that problem. Else, we can look forward to a text also from you that we can read out, right, ma'am? I mean, I hope not. I hope to hear you, but yes, welcome. So I'll just quickly move to Mr. Raman sir here. Sir, the Mars EPH index states that 40% of pets have been abandoned post-COVID, right? There's been a lot of abandonment. Again, abandoning pets is one of the criminal problems today, so to say, if I can use that word. Sorry, ma'am. Legally, we can't use that word, but again, it is criminal, right? Abandoning a pet. This also causes a worse city for pets, so to say. What do you think, sir? How can we supersede these challenges of abandonment? Is pet registration one of the solutions to this?
No, pet registration we are already doing. The main problem is, you see, all over India, we have a concept. Somebody wants to buy a dog or adopt a dog. He doesn't think over before buying or adopting. He wants the dog today itself for his daughter's birthday or somebody's. He wants to buy. He goes to any shop, buys it. And another biggest problem is before even adopting or buying, some of them doesn't know the breed also. They go to the shop, they say, I want a golden retriever. That fellow gives him some crossbreed.
Right.
He buys and takes it home after 2 months. Then he starts ringing up, I want to get it registered. And we have two systems. One is when the puppies is born, the owners are registered. The other one, if you buy a dog, if it doesn't have a paper, we register after only 1 year. And there are relatives all over India who are authorized to sign this and get it registered. That's not a problem. Registration is another thing. But biggest thing is nobody wants to learn before even buying. You see, when they come to us, then I suggest to them. You see, my job is different and NGO's jobs are different.
Correct.
During NGOs also, most of the time something is there. I ring up her, people give the number. She has taken, and maintaining 500 dogs is not a matter of joke. And being after pandemic before that, most of them so difficult to get the money for it. And during the pandemic, I remember I got quite a lot of this thing from Pedigree, giving. We had a little cooking system in my garage. From there, we used to feed the local. Coming back to the point is, you see, if the owners at least understand before, what is the flat I have, what is the he goes and have a big dog. And what happened 5-6 months, he finds he can't manage it. If they come to us or go to an NGO, at least we can put somewhere. They don't do that. I remember about 4-5 years back in near East Bengal ground, one Doberman was tied up and went. And we got the news after 2-3 hours. I picked up, because being a man, I kept it in my house, gave it to some. So the best thing is we don't understand what we want. Right. And education comes afterwards. And everybody decides on the spot he wants to buy a dog. Right. He goes to a shop. I don't blame the shop. He's not a breeder. It's his job, he gives you a dog. But another thing is, we have so many things. Any problem comes, we go to Google, we go to this, we go to that. But before buying that, nobody sees what is it. Right. So this is the biggest problem we face now. And when they come to us from the club, I explain to them, but it is not everybody comes to me. Probably 5% of the total people come to me. Right. And what they say, you see, they buy via middleman. That man makes some money, the breeder doesn't get some money also. So it is the biggest, they think we lack the basic knowledge of buying. I want to adopt a dog, I don't buy what is my house, what is, I want a big dog, I buy it. After 6 months, you face a problem. This is what the scenario is.
Right, right. We even see huskies who are not, suited to this climate being there in societies and houses, right? Very good point, sir. And I think what I'm hearing from you is registration is not really a solution, probably one of the solutions, but awareness, education, knowledge. We cannot just go impulse buy, right? The way we pick up chocolates from the store, we can't pick up puppies from the breeders. Madam Tatu, I think you're glowing there. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, finally we have you with us. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Samek. So thank you all of you for sharing whatever you have shared today. It's really mind-boggling the amount of work that is being done in this area, the number of people who are working with all their heart and soul towards these things. And thank you, Mars, for inviting me to speak on such a big platform. We are only doing very small work over here. We work with the One Health concept. So we've adopted through a Gram Panchayat, 6 villages on the outskirts of Bangalore. Better cities for better pets is what we are talking about. But, cities are encroaching the areas, the villages around it. And then that's the concept that we are working on. We are starting to work with these places with problems that cities are now pushing into their boundaries before they become a menace. So before the problem becomes a menace, just stop it before it begins, and work with all the animals, but especially dogs. So we don't call them strays, of course, we call them street dogs. And street dogs, through adoption drives, trying to make them adopted family dogs rather than street dogs. We work with ABC, disease surveillance and disease diagnosis. We work with nutrition, and we are encouraging adoption. We also work with school children to spread awareness about this approach that we need to take to look after the dogs in the villages and adopt them, or at least not treat them like something that they are not desired, by looking after them and making them a part of the society, a healthy society over there.
Thanks, Ms. Neela Tatu. Finally, it's great to have you with us. I'll move to Mr. Ajay Daga here. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I think we've discussed a lot about shelters and NGOs. Would you like to highlight some of the key challenges that you face with the work that you're doing on the ground? And another question would be, how can we build a foster network for you and a network of community caregivers and rescuers who can support shelters and NGOs?
First of all, we are very categorical about what we are doing, and we don't go in for the rescue of pedigree dogs, which I would like to mention is mostly done in Calcutta by Sarda of Chaya, and we stay away from that ground because we cannot be rescuing stray dogs as well as pedigree dogs. So we have restricted ourselves to the rescue of just the stray dogs, and we are managing around 450 to 500 rescues per month. And out of that, the max we go is 150 sterilizations, and the rest is the hit and run cases and the cancer cases and all that stuff. And we're just trying to replicate the great lady out there is doing, Sarda. And pedigree dogs, they need something, but the chipping part that he said, it's just, I don't think it's possible because everyone out here is out to make quick money. कुत्ता चाहिए उसके पास जाओ नंबर लेगा वो चिपिंग का बाद में होगा you will get that thing later and then after a few months they take it in as a puppy. That puppy grows up after some time, then they realize there is shedding also. Puppy may turn to be a biter because they don't know what they are taking in, whether they're taking in a Rottweiler or a pit bull. And the thing that there's this thing that the pit bulls, the rescued Rottweilers and all, they're very dangerous. We don't go for the rescue of these pedigree dogs, but at the moment we have a rescued Rottweiler, who was termed as a vicious biter, and he was languishing. He, along with the Doberman, was languishing at CSPCA, and everyone was afraid that these two are biters because they had bitten one or two police personnel when they had gone in for the rescue. And at the moment, if Mopia can show you the video of that Rottweiler, you have met
I
Tyson.
had the good fortune of meeting the Rottweiler at Ashari.
And I think, and I think Mopia can just put her face inside his mouth and he
He'll do
won't.
nothing.
He'll do nothing. It's how you handle the dogs. And we are just doing our bit by going in, and what we do is we go in for area-wise sterilization where we identify a local guy who will just identify the females, and he knows the counts as to how many, he or she knows the count as to how many are there. At the moment, our van is in Lilua, and there's this guy called Sailesh Upadhyay. He is coordinating, going lane to lane and picking up females. And as someone mentioned out there, that when we pick up an area, we make it a point that we complete nearly 90% or more in that area. So at the moment, we are targeting Khidirpur area, Lilua, then this Shobha Bazar area and Nimtala Ghat area. So, and as regards the abandonment of the pedigree dogs, that's a vicious cycle. I don't know how we can go about that.
Sure, ma'am, please.
Kennel Club shows. Do you all allow shows of, Saint Bernards and Huskies and Rottweilers and other dogs over there? You do. But these, yeah, registered, of course, but these dogs are not fit to live in a climate, Indian climate. So we pick up so many pedigree dogs, I've had Huskies and Saint Bernard and Rottweilers and Chayap and just picked off the street. Okay, so why can't there be regulated breeding, or you kind of tell the government there should be a policy change that such breeds should not be allowed in India? Can't we do that? We have Indian breeds, so many different kinds of breeds. Why don't we just kind of allow that?
It is because of the wrong selection of dogs. You see, when I go and buy a dog, I don't know what this dog going to be. Somebody says you buy a Rottweiler, I go and buy a Rottweiler. And after that, what we come to us, we have a regular, quite a lot of programs where we teach about the human and the dog, how you should behave, all those we do it. But the problem is they come to us once the dog has become 8 months, 9 months, he has become already a biter. But in the show dogs which comes, you will find in the show most of the dogs are properly trained or whatever. Some of them also is there. And another thing is, most of the people buy dog for breeding. And what they do, they don't tally the bloodlines between the year. Normally, if the system is, if he's an aggressive dog, we say don't breed with him. But they don't, because most of them are, they buy a dog, just keep somewhere in the village something, and then they immediately breed. And like what he said, once it becomes a biter, some of them leave on the street and go, or give it to somebody else and go. And in our system, we don't put the dog to sleep. So he becomes a monster and he goes on here and there. But comparing to earlier, so many years back, the Rottweiler had a very bad bloodlines. And most of all over the world, it was put to sleep. Here, only very few of them are there which are biters. Otherwise, most of the Rottweilers I've seen is all. But yes, there are some Rottweilers which are biters, Dobermans which are biters.
Yeah. No. Ma'am, what we'll do. Sorry, ma'am. My sincere apologies. What we'll do is we'll have a quick Q&A session. We'll first wrap up. No problem, ma'am. We'll wrap this up with 2 more questions. Dr. Chini Krishna, I'd like to bring you in on the aspect of better cities for pets at home. Sir, are you there with us? Yeah. Now, of course, a better city for pets entails pet-friendly businesses, pet-friendly offices, pet-friendly parks, commute, public transport, flights, aircraft, so on and so forth. But of course, it also entails a lot of human-animal conflict existing in RWAs today, for example, in societies today. How can we, A, make advocate more pet friendly spaces, which can be offices, and how can we be in societies slightly mitigate this challenge through advocacy or through certain bodies or through regulations being put up?
I'll give you an example of the Gindi Industrial Estate. It's the oldest industrial estate in the country. Started in 1956 when Venkatraman was the industries minister. Over the last 48 years that I've been here, it has moved from a place which was totally animal unfriendly to a place where most dogs are welcome into most offices. And these include the IT buildings, the newer IT buildings that have come up, only because they see a notched ear, they see a dog without any mange. Somebody spoke about the health benefits of spaying. One of the health benefits of spaying is that the incidence of mange goes down. As all the veterinarians here can testify, mange is an autoimmune disease, and it is exacerbated by stress. The time that the animal is under the maximum stress is in the mating season, when dogs and males and females are competing for each other. You spay the animal and you get rid of a lot of mange. You still find mange, but it is certainly very much less. And once they know the animal has been sterilized and vaccinated and it's safe, you will be surprised at how people's attitude change. In this connection, may I request Dr. Muralidhar to please send me the photographs or the video he had of the Hyderabad dog park, because Chennai city has now moved, and the smart city has moved into a program called CCAP, that's care for animals, care for pets, and this would certainly help, because one of their plans is to set up 3 dog parks right away in the city.
Thank you, sir. And of course, Dr. Mulidhar will share them with you. Sir, final closing question to you. On the streets while driving by, we see a lot of sometimes injured dogs, sometimes emaciated dogs. We want to help them, but we don't know how, whom to reach out to, whom to talk to, where do we get medical care or healthcare facilities for them, how to get them sterilized. When we try and go feed them, as ma'am said, we are called insane and crazy, right? But how can the common man today, common man willing to make a difference, how can he or she work for the betterment of these companion animals on the streets? So your point of view.
You're asking me?
Yes, sir. The closing question for you, sir.
Okay. To be a true animal person, one must be a true people person also. And one of the major points of conflict is because animal people do not get along with a lot of human beings. You talk nicely to people, you'll be surprised at the kind of response you get. And that's been proved. I mean, we have a very, very pet-friendly Commissioner of Police in Madras. We have a very friendly Managing Director of the Smart City. We have a super friendly DG, Director General of Police. All this has come about over the years because the animal welfare people here learned to talk politely to officers and other people. It's quite simple, really, and Madras is well on the way to becoming the most dog-friendly, at least dog-friendly place that you can think of. There are still pockets, I'm not saying no, where resident welfare associations are ill-treating animals and things like this, but the numbers have certainly come down in the past few years.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think with that, we come to the end of this panel discussion. What a wonderful discussion we've had across both the panels. I would like to thank Dr. Akanksha for beautifully moderating the previous panel as well. And I think like Dr. Chini Krishna said, it's really easy. Just be nice to people, talking nicely amongst people in societies, on the streets, in conflict as well, managing it in harmony through communication. You can do wonders just with that. Sir, I remember you had mentioned the same point in Chennai as well. And given that I think we are all nice people, dog-loving, animal-loving people here, the entire community has come together. It's really heartening to see. Thank you very much to everyone present here. And like I said, back in Chennai as well, the road to ending pet homelessness or the road to a better city for pets and companion animals is long, dark, very deep, very difficult. But we have miles to go before we sleep. And together, as a community, we can do this and we will do this. Kolkata Kodbo Lodbo Jeetbo. Thank you. Over to Vasudha.
Thank you, Samik. I think you said that the road is long, dark, and deep, but I think it really starts from the heart. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I think that's what the key is. Thank you everybody for a fantastic and a very invigorating discussion. I'll just take another 5 minutes of your time. So I know I'm standing between everybody and lunch, but I just wanted to kind of summarize the discussions for today. So Dr. Chini Krishna, he opened, our guest of honor, he opened the proceedings by saying that a street is no place for pets, and he said that ABC programs can really help. I will also add his closing remarks saying how can the common man, when Samik asked him how the common man can make a difference, he said to be an animal person, we have to be a people person also. So I think it all starts with us. And I think this gathering is a beautiful gathering. We can make a lot of difference, talk to each other, create those partnerships. I think that's very important. Dr. Chanchal Guha said knowledge, attitude, and practices are important to make a difference. We can improve awareness of the people and then change the lives of the animals. That's a very important point. Dr. Natasha Dogar said that animal welfare in all aspects of nutrition is all aspects of nutrition, healthcare, and scientific advancement. BIS is playing its part by creating standards for animals. Human food is not suitable for pets. Therefore, standards are crucial to health of pets as they ensure quality of food and therefore pet nutrition. Dr. Mazumdar said we have good support by KMC to ensure dogs' health or pets' health and can that they ensure dogs' health so that they can move around in localities. They take care and isolate rabid dogs. They do ABC and ARV programs extensively. KMC does that. Mr. Kingshuk Pramanik said animals have no judiciary to have justice. Therefore, justice is constantly denied. Cruelty to animals is rampant, and we are failing from a human perspective. Again, it comes back to the same point. We have to start from our own hearts. One, we have to swing into action, and social participation is very important. Dr. Cecilia said nutrition is key to good health of pets. Diet and nutrition can create disease, but also help manage diseases. Veterinary professionals are key to health of pets. Therefore, it is imperative that there is education which is built into the veterinary curriculum. Dr. Aparajita said it's great to see how good food is now available in India for pets and also for specifically for veterinary health. As an eminent veterinarian, she has proactively done her bit for pets with great compassion and great love. Ms. Sharda Radhakrishnan said dogs and cats make our lives better and are therapeutic for humans. Pets on the streets can't get holistic diet as animal feeders and NGOs cannot afford to give manufactured pet food. And I think that's where, again, we need to start working together. Ms. Sushmita Lahiri said that we bring compassion to animals. Her being compassionate to animals made her found the NGO Voice for Animals in Kolkata. Every home should adopt 1 or 2 pets inside or outside the house and provide them with healthcare and food. Dr. Tatu said that nutrition is key for one health, as healthy pets on and off the streets will only add to environment and human health. However, the problem is too large and we should do as much as possible to do it together. On the BCFP panel, I think one of the things that came out very clearly is that population control is key to better cities for pets, and also education and awareness. I think that's very important. Mr. Arijit Mukherjee said that ABC is the best way to control street animal population. Administration and police need to support and control cruelty to animals. It has to be done by we, not I. Ms. Basak said complaints definitely come to them, but not about cruelty to animals, but about people feeding animals. Laws are very weak, but action can only be taken against the hit and run.
One has to be compassionate and aware, and public education and awareness is the key. Penal sections need to be strengthened for police to take action. All her pets have been rescued, and they are with her because they like to be with her. Mr. Raha said, we can't put a gun on anyone's head that you have to keep a pet. Many dogs are adopted and abandoned, so there should be a way to track these adoptions to keep the families responsible for their pets. Dr. Murlidhar said during COVID, adoptions doubled, but many people abandoned dogs on rumors of animals spreading COVID. This problem cannot be mitigated easily. We also need more shelters, and NGOs should be supported and funded with training and resources. He said that dog parks and pet-friendly spaces are key to better cities for pets. Ms. Rubina said that ABC needs to be coupled with adoptions to ensure not just population control, but also their welfare. ABCs need to target 70%, right? 70% of population to ensure sufficient reduction in population. Small isolated efforts do not make noticeable impact. Ms. Neela Tatu said it is mind-boggling how much work people are doing here, and I absolutely agree with her. They have adopted 6 villages around Bangalore. She said that cities are encroaching villages, so they want to stop this from turning into a menace. They work with nutrition, disease awareness, and prevention, and also sensitizing kids as to how they can make a better place for pets. Dr. Utpal Das said shelters and pounds are important. KMC pounds are providing ABC and healthcare facilities to street pets. More facilities are coming up with KMC. He appealed more people to adopt indie breeds. Mr. Raman said people don't think about adopting pets before they adopt. Breeders fool them with crossbreeds. People should be educated before they adopt. I think that's a very, very key point. For creating the responsible pet parenting, people should be aware and educated that it is almost like parenting. It's not like a toy that you pick up and then you throw back on the streets. After adoption, when they realize that it is not suitable, they abandon them instead of going to experts. Mr. Ajay Daga said, we do not go for rescue of breed dogs, but they have restricted them, the NGO to rescue. They don't rescue breed dogs, they only rescue street dogs. All breeders and middlemen are there to make quick money. People adopt without education and information, abandon. And therefore, these abandoned dogs can become really dangerous till you can handle them properly. They pick up and complete 90% of sterilizations and vaccinations in their facilities. So that's to sum up what is being discussed today. I think health and nutrition, population control, and overall education and awareness is very critical in this area, all of us coming together. And if anybody has any questions for the panelists, we would like to welcome it before we close.
Yes. Any questions from the audience for the panelists?
Good afternoon. My question would be for anybody to answer. I'm from media. I'm from Times of Bengal. What we saw very recently during the COVID and post-COVID, that people are adopting stray dogs, as you say, street dogs or stray dogs, because they find them people, those who are influential in the society, they are adopting them. And my question would be, like, if I adopt a dog, or if anybody adopts a dog from the street, or maybe if you can pick up some dog from the stray. Now, how can we just, means when we bring them home, then what would be the first thing what one should do? I mean, where they should go to protect or to give them care?
That's a very, very relevant question. In order to keep a pet animal, the first thing you do is to go to a vet. And the vet should be nearby your place where do you stay. Because there is no point going to a distant bed, and when there's an emergency, you cannot reach them or the doctor cannot reach you. This is this first thing you do. Before that, I would request you to make up your mind, because the dog is not going to knock your door. You are bringing the pet into your house. So once you have taken it, it becomes your moral responsibility to stay with the dog and planning the welfare of the dog, its housing, its nutrition, good health for the next 14 or 15 years or whatever the lifespan of the dog is. So better do that, then take the pet, bring it home, find a vet, take the consultation, and keep the dog. Just as simple as that. I hope it clears your.
Do we have any further questions from the audience? Yeah, I can see one hand there.
Good afternoon. I'm Alok Kumar, a member from the Voice for Animals. I just want to say one thing. We need to bring compassion to animals, people's compassion for animals. When we were kids, we used to see in the locality various animals like cows, buffaloes, not only dogs and cats, goats and other things. The government has made stringent rules that cows and buffaloes are not allowed to stay in the city. Why? We should allow them. Let them be. The children don't know these animals. If in some day may come, if they want to see a cow, they may have to go to the zoo. They're not there. So if these cows, buffaloes grow with us, they can bring compassion, love, and affection. Some care may be required from for hygienic purpose. Government can make regulations, but some cities like Haridwar and some they have allowed cows and others everywhere. So we can control this. I think government should make this free, that not restrict animals in these zones. Only they should be allowed in every place. That is one thing. And then I have been told that some pet shops are selling pets which are infected, pets having diseases to the people. People can't understand that and they are buying them. After a few days, the pets are dying. So how to check that and what remedy can be that? This is a question I have. Thank you.
When are the puppies, they are more prone for the diseases like a viral diseases, parvoviral. We can call it as a COVID in the puppies, in the similar way. There is no remedy for, there is no cure for it. Only thing is we can manage the situation. And before anything happens to them, the puppy to be brought to the whoever is selling the puppies, please, we need to educate the people. Don't buy the puppies. At least minimum, they should be 2 months of age. At least they should take the milk of the mother, colostrum, put it into the fullest. Then they develop the immunity. Then the puppies have the more disease resistance. This we need to educate the people who are buying the pet. And the breeder seller is always in greed. He wants to get rid of the puppy the moment that is the money for him. He's not a living being. The puppy means it's sellable. It's only money for him. He's not a living being. So definitely wants to get rid of that. As a, whatever tell some stories and give them. But we need to educate the owners not to buy the puppy before 2 months at least. By the time they resume and they gain the immunity, self immunity. Even then, first as I told, the moment you take a puppy, go to a vet and show them. And once you trust that the puppy is going to be all right, then you'll go to buy. Thank you.
Sir, many people come and complain to me that they have brought puppies from pet shops. A few days after they find that the puppy is sick with some disease and they die also. So how to stop these pet shops from selling these kind of puppies?
Already
How to
the
stop?
Environmental Board of India, there is rules are there, ma'am. Definitely they can close that. If at all that not being maintained as per the standards of the SOP, AWA breeders regulations are there. If there's any pet shop is not maintaining the rules and the facility for the puppies are not met with the recommendations, then the shop can be closed. That can be seized. The local animal welfare board, India, local state animal welfare board of India can take the action on that. Otherwise, anyone can give a complaint to the police station. They were and showing these rules and they'll close it. We are done in Hyderabad. Yes.
Okay. Where can we go and complain against this shop?
Anyone can do. Even police station can go.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but can we have an offline discussion if that's not a problem? Because I think we're getting a bit late. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I think we should end by a big round of applause for the discussions and the panelists and everybody here.
Vasudha, Dr. Madhubita has a very quick idea to share with us, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you for beautiful workshop seminar. I'm just giving one idea, that is maybe we can think about some kind of ad from the state government. You can recommend from your desk to all the other state government also, that like Roj Khao Ande. You can government can think about some kind of ad for this kind of adoption, street dog adoption. So that will work.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, we've tried to implement it at a smaller level, and we'll also be taking it forward in the future. So thank you very much. I would once again like to thank our guest of honors, Dr. Chini Krishna, Dr. Chanchal Guha, Dr. Nitasha Dogar, Dr. Tapapriya Majumdar, Dr. Cecilia Villavarde, and our chief guest, Dr. Kingshuk Pramanik. I would also like to thank my colleague, Mr. Nitin Jain, for being there with us. And thank you all the panelists and all the delegates and all the media. I think we've had a fantastic discussion and we would like to continue this conversation in Kolkata. So please, let's all be in touch and take this forward. Thank you very much. I invite you all to join us for lunch.